It's showtime, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany. We didn't get my mic.
Oh, no. Look at how unprepared you are.
Oh, my God.
It's amazing. Here I am, the total pro, and you're just sitting over here watching the show.
I had to fix everything.
You did. You actually, you may notice it's a little bit more official here.
It's not official. It's just more... I just made it more symmetrical. You've got your notifications on.
That's right. And so do you, folks out there. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, click the bell for notifications so you know when we're going live, which is typically between 5:30 and 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Look at my phone. It says right there. It says the thing. You can't really see it because of the glare, but it's there.
I got it too.
Trust me. Ultimate Spider-Man is stressful reading plus new comics. It's today's episode. But we got plenty to talk about. But before we do, want to say this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can sponsor today's show and keep the riffraff out and keep this show all about you and us. Just making you guys the third member of this show, Off the Rack, which has been running for almost 10 years. We have a little, I have a date that we've set for what the first episode of Off the Rack aired. Now, obviously, Off the Rack started on youtube.com/ComicPop, which is also be subscribed to with notifications on. It's actually a little bit less of a commitment because it's only one show.
Yeah.
So you can really afford to have all your notifications turned on for youtube.com/ComicPop. But I should say that here on ComicPop Returns, there's plenty to be notified about. For example, we just dropped our little conversation with Glenn Greenberg about the Hulk versus Superman crossover, and you know we're going to do that on back issue, so that'll be a little bit of a fun cross promotion.
Yeah, you'll
we're
know
also
more than the Ethan and Ben.
That's right, which is usually the case.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's true.
Yeah. I have some popcorn in my throat, but yeah,
I'm helping. See, I
Thank
may
you.
not have had my mic ready,
yeah,
but I got the water.
yes. And you only thank you. And you only started talking after there was only about 25 minutes of silence, so it really worked out.
What?
So when
I talked.
You got to jump in like the show itself is ADHD. Like
What?
There can't be a moment of silence, or they'll click off immediately.
Oh, I see. Because you were choking.
I was choking. I was drinking. You need to fill
with my words.
Now you get it. Now you're a broadcaster.
No, I'm not.
Well, you have been a broadcaster.
I was taking
You've been broadcasting
care of you.
for over 10 years now.
I had to help you.
I appreciate that, and I thank you for it.
Your safety was my priority.
That's great, but the show should be the priority.
All right, fine.
I mean, make me better because, you know.
Nah, man. Next time I gotta focus on what I'm gonna say next.
Okay. No, never focus. Just say things. Just stream of consciousness.
No way. No.
That's called vamping. That's how you get the good stuff.
But
see, I need more to drink right now.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm too busy worrying about what I have to say to fill the void.
That's a great shirt. Where'd you get it?
You gave it to me. And you got it from Weapon Prime?
That's right. Don't tell them more than that, but you can find them on Instagram and on the website.
What do you mean don't tell them more than that?
Well, we don't want to overdo it. You know, we don't want to get them too much exposure. I mean, Weapon Prime is a fantastic site with lots of great, terrific printings, but I don't know if it's all on the up and up. So, you know.
Oh, that's true.
All I'll say is,
I was just gonna say you got me that shirt. That's
I did, and it's pretty dope shirt. I remember I got it for you, and you were like, "Oh man." And then you're like, why'd you get me another one of these shirts? Oh, this is awesome. Look at that.
Ta-da.
It's great.
I have 2 Ghost Rider shirts now.
Which is like 200% more gross.
Plus one that's not actually a Ghost Rider shirt. It was just a skull that was on fire. You got me. I really like that shirt, though.
Yeah.
I really like that shirt.
That was a nice one. I was like, well, that's the closest thing we can get.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm back from C2E2.
You are. How was C2E2?
It was fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's our topic for today.
Yeah. How is C2E2?
It was fine.
How was all right. So there's a lot of levels we can address this.
It's true.
All right. So let's think about it in a couple of ways, right?
Please.
It's like city.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. I was gonna listen. City,
fine.
Actual convention.
Mm-hmm.
The people.
Yep.
And the food.
Well, the people are always 10 out of 10. I mean, everybody that we met who was a local at Chicago or who was at the con, just because the show was a magnet, were wonderful. I didn't run into any unpleasant people. I ran into only awesome, kind, generous folks. We received a couple of gifts. We got a lot of awesome handshakes and fist bumps. We got some nice compliments. And overall, just meeting any member of the audience is always a thrill for me. So that was awesome. I had a wonderful time. meeting people, and we met quite a few. We didn't do like a meetup because I feel like it's really not fair. Like when the crew isn't there, it's just me. I feel like that's weird. I don't want to do like a meetup. It feels like I'm doing
come say hello to Sal.
it feels like I'm doing a disappointing drug deal where it's like, meet me at this wall over here, and then I'm standing there. And people are like, you Sal? I'm like, yeah, it's me. So what do you want, a selfie or something? I can hook you up.
You got the goods,
right? Exactly. No, I never do. But yeah, so that was good. The food was fine. Yeah, we had a lot of great food actually. At one point we were out kind of late, and I used my Googling skills because we were with Benny, and Benny is notorious for not A, knowing how maps works, and B, not like looking up the local cuisine. Like he's usually just kind of like, well, where's the Outback or the Chili's, and I'm kind of like, well, what about like what these people are known for?
Now the next time we see him, he's gonna be like, I heard what you said.
Great. That would prove he actually watched one of our shows.
Wow.
I'm kidding. He actually does watch more.
Wow, you're just spicy.
Yeah, well, I just woke up. So he but he what was it? He we were looking for something to eat, and so I found this little place called
You'll never remember.
No, it was Burger Alley.
Burger Alley?
Yep.
That's like a way more delicious version of Crime Alley.
Yeah, and
we'll be murdering a parent, we'll murder your hunger.
Right, and it sounded like it was going to be like a bowling alley meets a burger joint, but it was really basically it was a like an eatery in the basement or in the lower level of a dorm. There's a little local university there, and at the bottom in the lobby of their dorms also a burger place, and they were like 4.5 stars. So I was like, well, I'm gonna try them. So we did get some burger, and they were delicious. And I don't know, it was because we were just that hungry and it was that late, but like they were amazing. I was like, this is great, and I felt like Peter B. Parker from Spider-Verse, where I was like, oh, this burger's so good. I just ate it all in an instant. It was amazing. And they also were like, oh, we have make good cookies too. So they made us cookies, and those were amazing, delicious. They were also the great kind of cookies that you get at a school where here you go, and then you touch it and it just falls apart.
Yes, where like they're like 99% liquid.
Yeah, it was just like a liquid cookie. So I was just like, I just ate it like it was honey from like Pooh's honey pot. I'm just like, and it was also equally delicious. And that has nothing to do with any of like the cuisine that Chicagoans are probably like, what the hell are you talking about? Burger Alley? What are you, nuts? Look, we were all the way up in we were up by the convention, so that wasn't like.
So, but what else did you have?
I had the deep dish pizza. That was I had it twice, and it was good. I actually genuinely enjoyed it. It was good. It was better than the deep dish we've had here, and not when I look. Like Domino's has ruined the term deep dish pizza because you're like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I was
they're trying to make deep dish, like they're trying to take a pan pizza and make that deep dish.
Yes.
And that's a pan pizza.
Yeah.
That's different than deep dish.
They use the pans, and it still takes half an hour to make. But one of the things that I will say I missed, I was disappointed by in all of them was it was the Pizza Hut crust around it.
Yeah, but I don't think you get that with deep dish.
I don't think you
and
do.
That's why I don't count it as pan pizza, because I think a hallmark of pan pizza is that, just like there's that place in Montclair.
Yeah.
They do pan pizza, the rectangle pan.
Yeah.
Taglia.
Yeah. That pan pizza is incredible. But what we had was still quite good. The cheese, it looked like Ninja Turtles cheese, where it stretched, and it was as delicious as it looked, and it was good. The first time we had deep dish or whatever, Chicago style casserole pizza, it was odd how they did the toppings too, because normally when we get toppings, it's like you see the pizza and you can see the toppings, and it's like sprinkled along. Yeah. This one was more they had sausage, and it was like they made one giant round sausage patty that they just cut, and so we had like a triangle of sausage under all the stuff.
It's like having a breakfast sandwich, but
it was weird.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, it was odd, but it was easy to eat, and it was delicious, and I was happy with it. It doesn't trump any of the pizza that I have here.
Right.
Certainly it didn't make a believer out of me, but I was like, this is fine. I didn't like, there's a couple things against it. Number one, it takes forever to make. Number two, it ain't worth the wait. Number three, it's an investment. It's a time investment. It's a stomach investment. Like, it's just a lot, but I imagine it's not what you're normally doing. You're not going to go like pizza on the go when it comes to that kind of pizza.
You're not having it by the slice.
You're not going to have it by the slice. It wouldn't work.
It comes in a bowl.
Exactly. It wouldn't work it wouldn't work by the slice. It wouldn't preserve the cheese. It would be gross. But it was actually quite delicious. Every time I had it, I was happy with it.
All right.
We also had a tavern style pizza that Kyle Higgins said was not technically tavern style, and he was like, "This, and where'd you get it from?" And he was really mad that how bad it.
Based on what you described it to me, it does not sound like what I was expecting. It sounds like more like they're taking a New York style and just labeling it.
It was like a square hand tossed pizza that they cut into like little blocks, and those were quite good, but I didn't have much of it. But I only need one bite, and clearly David Portnoy only needs one bite. But
it's like who?
Yeah, right. Who exactly? Who? But it was good. That was equally good. There was no pizza where I was like, this is disgusting. Actually, the most recently disgusting pizza I had was from Godfather Pizza in New Jersey. There's this chain.
And that's the problem. Like, if you're in New Jersey and you're having pizza, don't go to a chain.
No, don't go to a chain. You go to a local place. But the problem is a lot of these local places now look like the chains are like disguising themselves as local. Like, I remember finding an ad for Godfather Pizza, like the pizza you can't refuse, back in high school, like a million years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember being like so entertained by the logo and the concept, but I never had a slice. And then I remember us passing one in like Morristown being like, oh, what's that all about? That's the Godfather Pizza. But then I saw another one in a different town, a neighboring town, just the other day before I left for Chicago. And I was like, all right, you know what? Since every place in New Jersey sells pizza by the slice, I'm gonna do that. So I did it, and it had a problem that every bad New Jersey pizza has,
or any bad
pizza, but in New Jersey it's like it's a crime, and it's a problem that like you never know, because all the pizza places look pretty much the same. And it's the sauce is too sweet. It was kind of like and the sauce will ruin an entire pie. It doesn't matter what the slice, but the dough wasn't very good either, but it was still
yeah. I always found that to be funny, like talking to people about pizza and then mentioning like the dough has to have like a flavor, and they're like garlic, like no,
just like it's like dough. It has to taste good. It has to just I'm not even going to go so far as say flavor. I'll just say it has to taste good. It can't taste like a plate.
I think it has a flavor.
It does indeed.
I think it does.
I took one bite and I was like, this is going, and so I just threw it in the woods. It was just that bad. But anyway, Chicago was great.
How was the con itself?
Oh, the con was, is
this one of the newer ones, or is this one of the ones that Reed acquired?
This is an acquired con. And you'd be surprised, and when I say surprised, I mean not in any way surprised to discover that it used to be a Wizard World show. And I was not surprised from the bare concrete floors to the no publishers or merchants in attendance.
No publishers?
No, none. Not even a close. I mean, Mad Cave was there.
That's it.
That was it.
Like no boom.
No boom. No dynamite. No vaults.
Wow.
No ghost machine. Nothing. It was just Mad Cave.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, it was in C2E2 is owned by Reed. They're run by Reed. Reed Pop, who does of course PAX and New York Comic Con. Yeah, and it was not very great. I was disappointed, to be honest with you. Like, I wasn't like, I had a great time with the company I held, and I had an amazing time with the audience that I interacted with. And it took me 3 days to realize James Tynion IV was there. But the creators they had, obviously there were a couple of like really surprising names that I didn't see on the website. And but those were wonderful. There were a lot of like Artist Alley was pretty big.
That's great though, because that means that like without like some of the larger folks there, it's easier for you to find smaller creators, and I think that that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and there were a lot of comic book stores / comic merchants.
That's fantastic.
It was, but there was there was an issue, and it's not their fault, and it's not C2E2's fault. It's the problem with cons in general, which is like the kind of the topic that I wanted to jump into, but I don't have time to do it.
Well, yeah, but I was gonna say before you get into that, someone mentions that their comic shop is Graham Crackers.
That's a great name.
I love that.
Yeah, Graham Crackers Comics.
So much.
That's awesome. But it's a problem where it's like there were no deals, or the deals that existed were the deals that are now normalized. Like there aren't dollar bins. There are $2, $4, and $10 bins. There's no $5 trades. There's $10 and get $10 blind bags. There was a whole booth that I looked for multiple times. It's 50% off graphic novels, and they didn't have any graphic novels. They had a sign bigger than our set. that said 50% off graphic novels. Number one, nothing was 50% off. And number two, they didn't have a trade paperback to save their lives. It was just single issues, and those single issues were
maybe somebody bought them out.
They had a lot of inventory.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like maybe somebody walked up and bought a couple boxes, and that was that.
I don't
That's
think
all they
so.
brought.
It didn't look like it. It was really weird. There's also a new thing that I really hope does not become the norm, which is an issue that I have with most conventions, which isn't their fault. It's more like the customer's fault. So I'm blaming this squarely on you, the viewers. No, I'm kidding. Because I know the people who watch the show don't do this. But you're gonna get books signed, or you're in the trading game. You're in the trading market. You bring a lot of long boxes, and you have those folks who bring like hand trucks full of long boxes, or those people who have like they brought hand carts like from Home Depot, like mini hand carts.
You see that everywhere.
I've never seen it like this, where it was like, first of all, I saw multiple hand carts, like 10 hand carts with trade paper with long boxes on them strapped to it, and I was like,
I see that all the time. Are you not looking to see that? Like,
I'm trying not to anymore.
Constantly at every con we go.
It was just outrageous. But yeah, that was rough. The other thing was there was there was a lot of room, which may not have helped the look.
But that's kind of nice, though.
Oh no, it was nice, but like until I realized I wasn't really going anywhere. I was like, oh, there's a lot of room for me to leave, and that happened a lot. Where I was like, well, I guess I'll get out of here, And I did a lot of walking at this show, but not on the floor, like in the city.
That's nice that you got to see the city.
And I like the city. The city was pretty.
Additionally, like the people you were with, they were gone on Sunday, and like typically when you're at a con, you're usually with me or the guys,
which is another thing that for me.
So you were like kind of doing a solo version of the con, and like I enjoyed that when I did that at San Diego.
Yeah.
Last time, like I was all over the place.
Yeah.
But I was also like, I knew I was going to be meeting up with you. It wasn't like I was there alone.
No, yeah, I never want to go to a con alone in my life. Because I hate it. I hate the experience.
Well, I think just it depends on the person.
It does. It depends on what you're looking for, what you're doing. And like, if I lived in Chicago and everyone in my life that I loved and wanted to bring to the con wasn't around, I'd still go for a couple hours. But it was similar to when I went to like Toy Con this year and I went alone. I walked around and then I left. I had nothing. I had no collaborative experience. There's no sharing.
Additionally, like when Sal goes to, especially like any of the East Coast cons, typically we have a car.
Yeah.
And
so I can buy a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like so, like you probably weren't as interested in the booths. Additionally, because you knew you could only bring so much.
Well, there was a FedEx downstairs, so my plan was to get, if I got more than a little bit, I would definitely have shipped it.
But I know your mentality because I've seen you when we go to like San Diego where you're like,
yeah, I don't want to deal with all that.
You're like, I'll wait till New York. Or I'll wait till Baltimore. Like, I'll wait because I know I'll have a car then. Like, even though you could ship it, you tend to not do it. Yeah,
that's true. So. And when we do have a car, like when we're doing Free Comic Book Day or we do Baltimore or any of the local cons, we'll walk away with a ton of books.
Yeah, because you can do that.
Because I know I can. But yeah, it was okay. It was a good, it was an okay show. It was, I think I like Baltimore better.
You're used to that.
I am used to it, but
you got like a creature comfort.
But I will say, I'd rather, if Baltimore was in Chicago, I'd go to it more. Like if the Baltimore Comic-Con was in Chicago, we would fix the problem, because I don't know if I love Baltimore. I love the people from Baltimore, but I don't love the city itself. But I did enjoy the city of Chicago.
That's nice.
When I took the train to get from the airport to Chicago, and that was fun. Though I will say, I was like, oh, I'll just take the blue line to the red line. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. And I hopped on, and 15 stops later, I was on the red line. And I'm like, God damn it.
Well, you probably
there's no other option.
Express.
There was no express.
Can we also talk about, really just very quickly, the hotel?
Oh yeah, I stayed at the Hilton Chicago. Which was the same hotel that was the location for the third act of the Fugitive, and that was awesome. It was also filmed. They filmed my best friend's wedding and Road to Perdition.
Nice.
That's where they were hiding Connor Rooney, and I immediately was like, once I saw the elevators, I was like, oh, they filmed Road to Perdition here too, and that was awesome. But really going to the ballroom and being like, he falsified his research so that our DU90 could get approved.
See, that's why I wish Ethan could have gone.
I know. But Ethan's been to Chicago himself, and he went to like all these different locations. Like he went to like the men only hotel and stuff like that. Like he saw all this stuff. I did. Well, because Benny doesn't know how to read a map, we walked a lot of places we didn't need to, and one of the times we walked over the river, and I got to say to like Benny and his brother, I was like, if they could dye this river green one day a year, how come they can't dye it blue the other 364 days a year? And no one was like, Sal, do I know? I got the same sentiment, but it was still, it fell on deaf ears. And they were baffled. Like everybody was baffled by my enthusiasm.
That's when you should have taken a video.
Yeah, I know, that's true.
And sent it to us.
Yeah. But nobody appreciated my fugitive references.
I'm sorry.
Dinesh kind of he understood them.
Sure. You got it. So anyway, so you went to C2E2.
I went to C2E2.
You had a fun time.
It was fun.
And the flight was short.
That was amazing. I don't
think I realized, like, I know it's close, but
like less than 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
I'll take that. I'd buy that for $1. But yeah, that was awesome.
Right.
Yeah, the flight was amazing. I just downloaded 4 episodes of The Simpsons, and by the 4th episode, we were landing. I'm like, yes, this is the way to go. I will do this from now on. That's how I'm going to fly. I'm just going to measure my flight by how many episodes of The Simpsons I need to download onto my phone. Unfortunately, when it comes to San Diego, it's going to be like 12.
What? That's what you're going to do?
It passed the time immediately. I didn't have any moment of boredom. I went, oh, geez, all right, well, I guess we're in the air. Here we go. And then by the time I was on the 4th episode, it was over. And I'm like, This is awesome. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, watching a full movie where it's like
right.
you're halfway through and you realize, oh my God, my head's still being squished by the pressure in this awful thing. But yeah, so
should I talk about some comics now?
That'd be great.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah,
too.
comics.
But I'm glad you went. I'm really glad you went because it was a con you'd never been to.
It's true. I always wanted to go, and I'm glad I did.
I think that's really great.
And I had a wonderful time in Chicago. Chicago is a pretty city that I had no familiarity with.
Chicago are they the ones with the bean?
What
is that, or is that Philadelphia? Who is the bean?
I have no idea.
I thought Chicago had the bean, but
they have Lake Michigan, which was really cool. I was like, wow, look at that.
About that.
Oh, it was also really as the name implies, it was incredibly windy.
There you go.
It was really windy. It was hilariously windy. Like it like when people would open doors, it would disrupt everything. It was ridiculous.
Yay, Chicago has the bean.
There you go. Also, if you are already watching the show live, you need to know that.
Did you not? I have no idea how close the bean is.
No, I didn't see the bean. But if you are watching the show live, you need to come to this channel and subscribe and click the bell for notifications. And know that on Friday, Friday,
yeah, you actually do have to do this.
This Friday, Josh and I are going to be doing a 4+ hour live show where we're going to be basically doing, All Stars, but a marathon celebrating the year plus of doing a live show with a top creator like Joshua Williamson. So please come watch the show, hang out with us, and be part of the experience because it's really, really cool. And it's going to be fun. And we're going to have some special guests, maybe. I have no idea. I ran into 1 or 2 that may be going to it, but they had no idea what's going on. So yeah, it might not even, we don't know. It might be a total shit show, which you may really want to see. So
I do.
Hang in there. So 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to start. So if you're in school, just wait a couple hours and we'll be there, or just watch it during class. You're not learning anything.
Don't listen to Sal. Let's pay attention to class.
That's true, yeah. But listen, we'll get into it. But it'll be a lot of fun.
This is the bean.
No, I didn't see that at all. That's really cool.
Apparently, it's north of there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never even heard of it.
You've never heard of the bean? It's actually called the Cloud Gate, but it's the bean. I know this is the random shit. I know.
I saw the big robots.
Completely useless.
There were these 2 cute robots.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I took a picture of them.
You didn't show me that.
No, they're fun. I like them a lot. They're just like a modern art installation, like they have in New York.
That's so fun.
But yeah, just 2 big robots.
Oh, that is really fun.
Yeah. I had to walk past them a bunch of times, so
that's so cool.
I was like, I like these little robots.
Okay.
Or blockheads. I don't know. They're cute. So yeah, make sure to check out All Stars.
Wait, I know the other thing that's like newsworthy. It's Free Comic Book Day coming up.
Hey, Free Comic Book Day is coming up this week, folks. On Saturday, the first Saturday in May, Free Comic Book Day is happening. That's right. So go. If you have never been, or you go normally, go to your local comic book store. But more importantly, go to every comic book store that you know in the area and see what offers they're making, because most comic book stores worth their salt don't just have the comic books available. They also do special sales and deals. So also we advise if there are any free comic book day offerings, you should get there early because a lot of them run out. That's also another reason why you should diversify your comic book stores that day, And if you are going to be doing deals and stuff like that, bring like a short box with you so you can really like carry those along with you. We're going to actually be telling you about some of the offerings from Free Comic Book Day at the end of the show, and we normally recommend comics. So if you're not sure what to pick up or what even is being offered, stay tuned.
And always just check out all the offerings anyway, because there'll be things where I'll be like, people will be like, "Oh, did you grab this?" I'm like, I didn't even know
they were doing that.
That was there.
Well, they don't. The comic book industry thrives on free marketing from other outlets like us. So yeah, I actually ended up reading Amazing Spider-Man 48 just to see what's going on. Zeb Wells, Todd Nauck. It's same stuff. The only difference is in this case, Ben and Janine learn a valuable lesson, which is that like your memories don't make you who you are. Your experiences and your love do, even though Ben doesn't remember loving Janine, but he does anyway. Maybe Ben won't be a villain. Maybe he'll be a hero from now on. Who knows? All we know is that's what happened in this issue.
Okay.
And the art is fine. It's the book. As far as Marvel's concerned, that's how they're treating it. You're buying it anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if the art is industry quality, if it's industry quality 15, 20 years ago, if it's if the story is bland or interesting or innovative or groundbreaking, it doesn't matter. You're buying it anyway, so who cares? And that's the attitude you should have with Amazing Spider-Man. It's just Marvel doesn't care, so why should you? So there you have it. That was one book I read. I also read, of course, Green Arrow number 11.
How'd you feel about that one?
That one, Joshua Williamson and Phil Hester and Eric Gapster and Sean Isaacs. This one was really fun, obviously, because this series has been a lot of fun. Essentially, Ollie is okay. So like Ollie has been used or pulled in one direction or another since the debut of this series. The concept being, like Ollie has been looking for his family, or his family's been looking for him, or he's been avoiding his family because he found out that if he goes near them, then they'll die or be destroyed. And so it's one thing or another. So Williamson has been playing with this concept of like the Arrow family has kind of been in flux or messed up or never been allowed to be near each other for one reason or another. And but mostly because most people don't love Green Arrow, so who cares? And so he was like, well, let me make a story out of it. Like there's a story reason why the Arrow family can't be happy and they're never together in the same location. And so in the last issue, Ollie obviously took the deal from Amanda Waller to go retrieve the Sanctuary mask, to give her the secret confessionals of all the heroes, which I kind of thought Lois had dumped already, but in Heroes in Crisis, but I digress. So, he goes to steal them, and it creates hard light constructs. And Roy was originally swept up in Amanda Waller's schemes, and so Ollie goes to save her. But he also wants to find out the location of Merlin, because Merlin, his arch nemesis, is also involved. And so,
like the wizard.
No, yes, like the wizard, but an archer.
I'm in.
Yeah, but he's not magic, and he's an archer.
Wow.
And he was trained by Ra's al Ghul. But it's Ollie and Roy fight the hard light constructs of the Justice League, and it's like a fun visual, though it's not like you don't get a lot of fun like character moments, except for, but also that works really well because they don't overshadow the main characters, which are of course Arrow based. But then Ollie disappears, says goodbye to his whole family, and then travels to another time and fights Merlin, and that's cool, and of course he brings the Sanctuary mask, and it's interesting. It was a fun story that in this issue wraps up with the threat of the use of the Sanctuary mask to make hard light constructs of Ollie's entire family. So he met it, how Ollie's been fighting with his family since they were created, so now he'll literally fight the memories of his family. And it's just it's a fun book that has a lot of deep cuts that aren't necessarily as deep as you might be worried they are if you are not a Green Arrow fan. Okay. Like, you take it from a guy who ain't a Green Arrow fan, it's what it was like to read comics when any character in the big two was allowed to get more than 50 issues. Like every comic is somebody's first, as was the case with Stan Lee's Proclamation. But when characters were allowed to progress, or at least have ongoing adventures that didn't stop arbitrarily because of some internal fear of a double or triple digit number that wasn't also like some arbitrarily determined milestone number,
yeah,
like 168 as opposed to 2000,
right?
Then you would get stories like this where it's like, who are all these characters? It's like Merlin. Who the hell's Merlin? And it's like, look, back in the day, people had the exact same problem, and they had to like look up things like who's who in the DCU. You just had to Google it. Like if you're reading a book and you're having fun, you enjoy the art, and you're like, but I don't know who Merlin is. You just write DC Merlin. And now you have the whole history of the character. It's never been easier to get the context you need for a story that might seem impenetrable because somebody on TikTok told you it was. Otherwise, I enjoyed the series despite the fact that I'm not a Green Arrow fan. Also, there's some sweet Phil Hester throwback art in there too. So it's cool. Check it out.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you want to do super chats or should I go?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then you'll go because we need to hear about the Flash. Did you read Flash?
Of course I did.
All right, good.
What?
Lee Allen says, Sal, you revisit Ram V's Detective Comics run after it wraps up. I think that's the only way to enjoy it is to read it when it's all done. I read some of it, and again, like I've said it before, I'll say it again. Like it is Detective Comics, the initiative to, from the cover aesthetic to the approach to the designs, like everything about this series is everything I want from DC and from comic books in general. It's just like such a good concept. Look at how beautiful and how distinct. I know exactly what I'm looking at. That's a detective comic from Ram V. Like that is exactly what that is. And it's awesome. And it's thematically relevant to everything that's going on. And it's one of the most dull versions of Batman I've ever seen in my life, despite the fact that so much interesting stuff is happening. And there's so many cool moments in it that like are viral. Like they pop up and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like Jean-Paul's back in his Nightfall suit and he's like actually relevant. That's amazing. And yet it's also like, but to get there, it's just so dull. And you can't, like, I just can't wait that long between stints. I had the same problem with the Wildstorm back when it was coming out. We used to be part of the DC's like side channel where we'd review comics for them. And at one point, like I was doing the Wildstorm on a regular basis, and I love that series. I think the John Davis Hunt art is second to none. It's amazing stuff. But it was just so effing boring. And there's so many amazing moments in it, but like they were few and far between the boring stuff. And I had to say to them at one point, I'm like, I have to stop. I can't. I can't talk for 10 minutes about this book. It's just like, it's an experience, but not an experience that like you can really convey to people. It's just like, if you like what's going on, you're going to like it. And sometimes all it takes to explain that you like it is just say, it's good. Like Ram V's Detective. It's a good book. I recognize its quality. Maybe if I sit down and read all of it at once, it will be better than me reading it like snippet by snippet, because clearly Ram is not thinking of it in terms of a monthly series.
Right.
So I think that's exactly like, when the omnibus comes out, people are going to talk about this book. Like you're going to see so many friggin' TikTokers going like, here's the run you never knew. I discovered it. Like it's going to be, you're never going to not hear about this Detective Comics run. People are going to compare it to the Scott Snyder Detective Comics run, which it is not, by the way. It is just very good. And there are so many things out there that are meh, that it will look even more amazing by comparison. Kevin says, are there any books you regret not buying when they first came out? The three I have are Sandman Mystery Theater, Doom 2099, Starman by James Robinson. There are plenty of books that I regret not buying when they came out, but, or rather, there are plenty of books that I missed, but nothing where I'm like, oh, I wish I could have read that when it was coming out.
Wait, like just to wish you had owned, like.
I mean, certainly there are books that I wish I could have bought for, some kind of like, just because then I would have them as opposed to having to hunt them down. But, the time that I spent not reading those books, I wouldn't trade for anything.
Aw.
AKA 480, Off the Rack, and Jon Stewart make Mondays great. That's true. Yeah, John's great.
Both of them.
Yeah. Although I will say, yeah, it's true. Although the white one, he's back Daily Show is here. He's doing his thing. Obviously, he's not doing the whole show. He's doing it like once a week or something like that.
Monday.
Yeah, it's Mondays. The fragmentation of our media and the like lack of like water cooler experiences for us, I think has harmed Jon Stewart's triumphant return. I think like people are excited when he says something in particular that then catches or is pushed into an algorithm that more people are like exposed to, but it's not like everyone's watching the Daily Show again. You know, it's more like everyone is aware that Jon Stewart has kind of returned to the Daily Show. Like, I'll bet there are people in the chat who just found out Jon Stewart isn't doing the Daily Show 5 days a week. Because it's just not that well conveyed, and because of the fragmentation of media and media consumption.
People just watch things differently now.
That's what I'm saying. Kirk Diggy, thanks for your generosity. It was great meeting you at C2E2. Hey, thanks a lot, man. ComicPop has turned me on to so many great books that I might have otherwise missed. Definitely going to be looking for Gotham City Year 1 back issues when I head to the comic shop this week. Yes, you'll probably get those back issues for friggin' rock bottom prices, or you can get the hardcover because they're both out. That's right, because Gotham City Year 1 did come out in hardcover form before Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow somehow. And then suddenly it did come out in hardcover. I don't know what the difference was. Mo Show, happy Monday, Sal and Tiffany. Great meeting you at C2E2. Good to meet you too, man. Glad you're not like Anthony Mackie to his fans. Apparently, Anthony Mackie is not as friendly and affable as he portrays himself.
Really?
Apparently, he doesn't like to meet his fans in public, or he doesn't like hang around for photos or anything.
Maybe he just feels awkward.
I mean, I'm sure he does. You know, overall, like, I can imagine. I think
we just always assume that like actors are all extroverts because they're out there doing their thing. But I have a feeling a lot of them are introverts, and like they do, like they're like, when I'm doing my job, I'm doing my job.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think we all, when we go to our jobs, like alter. Like,
yeah,
like they're not getting an authentic version of me when I'm at my job.
That's true.
More and more lately. But you know what I mean? So it's like, I do wonder.
I don't hate Anthony Mackie.
Oh, I know you don't, but I'm just hypothesizing and just wondering how many actors are like that, who are just like,
yeah. Hulkzilla, hope you guys are doing well. Had a great and fun weekend. I enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man 4, and I'm yearning for more. Also, cool shirt, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Yeah. M&M says, I've been subscribed for many years now. How the hell have I never heard the story of Sal and his friends sneaking into the Marvel offices pretending to be Fabian Nicieza and Scott Lobdell until now? It's true. I don't know. I think I've told that story on live shows, but I never actually named what creators we impersonated at the time. But you can find that story and more in my chat with Glenn Greenberg from Elseworlds interviews.
Can't believe you did that.
I know. I can.
I can too.
I did that crap all the time.
I can, absolutely.
Paul Williams, got my hands on some X-Men classics, Necrotia and Extinction Agenda. Also, where in the Fall of X does Cable run fall? I saw it and had the fall logo yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been reading it. I'll be honest with you. I just don't care for. That's not my writing style. I don't love that writing style.
Yeah.
I may have to eventually read it if it plays a major part. But I'm not exactly sure because I haven't been reading it, so I apologize. I don't have that info.
That's
ready
fair.
to go. It's just some of them feel like they're just tie-ins to be tie-ins.
Yeah.
But like some of them do actually. I don't know.
Some of them are. The thing is, some of them are just here's a Cable story.
Yeah.
And it's happening during Fall of X, and it's up to you to figure out when.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the conceit of all of this. It's like all of the X-Men period after Hickman's leaving is like, well, you wanted the initiative, you wanted to play in the sandbox. So like this is the period of Fall of X, but you're still in the sandbox and you had a good pitch for Cable, so here you go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I doubt Cable will like show up at the 0 hour of this event and be
you
like,
never know.
I've saved everyone.
It's like it's so random when things are getting pulled in, but they are trying to definitely make editor's notations as to where certain things are going on, which I do appreciate.
And I'm sure they'll like figure out some of it post Fall of X when they start making the collections.
Oh yeah.
Joe Fiant went to IthacaCon and got my Roger Stern omnibus signed by him and a first appearance of Photon signed. He looked amazing for 73 years old. Looks 50. Well, that's great.
Wow, what's the secret?
Yeah, I've never met Roger Stern, but I think I've seen him at like East Coast Comic Con when that was a thing.
That was a fun con.
I know, I missed that con. AKA 480. I love fugitive readers. Well, thank you very much. Joe also says, I got an X Factor signed by Walt Simonson. I mentioned that I watch a YouTuber who loves his alien art. He said he's proud of how it turned out. Oh,
yeah,
that's nice.
He should be proud of it. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Should we talk about some more?
I think we do need to talk about more comic books.
You want to talk about The Flash?
Yeah, why not? All right, Flash it is.
Flash number 8 came out this past week, written by Simon Spurrier with art by Ramon Perez and Vasco Georgiev.
Oh, Georgiev. I know that name. I love that guy.
You've said that so many times.
Yeah.
My brain just had nothing. So this issue is bringing us up into, like, obviously leading into, like, Waller's.
Oh, absolute power.
Yeah, like her messing with this arm of the DC universe.
Right.
Additionally, the next, like, where this will then be continued is in the annual, FYI. So if you want more about, like, the storyline, you got to read the annual. You got to grab that annual.
All right, that's fine. Sometimes I like that because they're like, it's just more of what you were reading, but with more pages.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the fact that they put it at the end.
Yeah, like they don't skip the annual.
Yeah, like they let you know. They're like, to be continued in the Flash 2024 annual. I'm like, thank you. Okay, gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah. Now this issue felt to me the most like more standard superhero comic. And I did notice some folk who maybe weren't loving the Flash in the past couple of issues have been like, I'm kind of coming around to it. And I think it's because it's becoming a little more like standard superhero. Now, I don't know if that's just the nature of where the story is going, if it's because we're trying to get Waller in there, or if because DC had notes for Spurrier and he's like, I can bring it in. I can bring it in a little bit.
Totally.
I have Constantine. I can do my thing over there. But it's not like he's getting rid of or dropping story stuff. No. This was just a little more action based. Like obviously, like there's a bunch of emergencies happening all over the world, and with Wally off the table, Barry's really like carrying the load, right? Which I thought was interesting. A lot of it focuses on like him trying to be in multiple places. He's talking to the rest of the Flash family. He often, because he's in multiple places at the same time, is like saying things. They're like, "What?" And he's like, "No, sorry, I'm somewhere else."
Yeah.
But that he's also like, focused a lot on like, he's like, "Come on, old man, you got to keep up. You got to do this. Like, you got to push yourself, right?"
Yeah.
And by the end of this, we see the return of Thawne essentially being in his head.
Oh,
right. Which like he really didn't want, but it's forced upon him. And we see that Wally is still in his the worldly area. We have this it's like this amazing moment where it's like Thawne is in there. No one else really knows what's happening. And there's like a statue of it.
Of that exact moment.
Yeah, which is great. Waller's take on all of this is like Iris is doing a talk show with some guy who is essentially, he's a superhero fan. And so like they're having a conversation about how great the Flash family is. They're like kind of watching some live news of like what's going on. And they're like, oh, he's like, look at all the synergy, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I don't want to dumb down the conversation, but I just love all our costs. Like, the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
And then they get a call and it's from someone named Mandy. And like she's like, I don't know, she's really like ripping into the heroes a little bit, and that's when Amanda Waller shows up, and Iris is like, Mandy, like Amanda Waller was to call in, which is great. Now that said, there's like occasionally in some of these books where it's like I can't tell if it's an error on purpose or what. But like occasionally I've seen errors or what I perceive to be an error to the point where it's like sometimes I have to read it out loud to make sure it's an actual error. But like in the phone call, for example, they're like, she says like these pioneers, these all-American heroes, not one of them has ever stopped and wondered what price power and who pays. And I'm like,
yeah, no, they effed up. Nope, that's just.
But I think this happened in a previous issue too.
Yeah,
so
that just means that you have a bad editor.
I guess I hate to put that on the editor. I don't know who they are.
We'll pull them up. I'll put them on blast.
I don't want to put anyone on blast. It's an honest mistake.
Well, it's like it's already a tough sell. This book is already hard to sell for friggin' Flash fans, and then you screw up these editings. Now that being said, like the editors, sometimes the editor is like a wrangler. Like they're doing a lot of things Chris Rosa does, but it's not like it doesn't mean he's like a literary editor where it's like he's got to make sure all the punctuation is correct. Like there's a lot going in there. Paul Kaminsky also bears some responsibility for that because the group editor, there needs to be like oversight. And look, when you're editing a lot of things,
and this book
things are going to fall through the cracks.
And this book is not short on
words.
It's not like, oh my gosh, this book only had like 5 word balloons. How did they mess that up? No,
right? Yeah.
there's a lot of talking in this, but it's like that does not take away from my experience.
No,
with
but
this,
it does
book.
actually, it does shake you out of it, because sometimes, because if you're focusing on, the grammar or the omission of words, you're trying to understand the intent of the author, and when that like, that's why you need to, really make sure you get that right. I mean, like,
Yeah. But regardless, like a lot of this issue is focused on, like I said, Barry picking up the slack, like feeling like he can't necessarily do it. He's like, I don't understand how Wally does it, and also has a family. Like there is a lot of emphasis on that, because obviously, like the issue Wally has is that like he isn't really keeping it together,
Right,
and he isn't really focused on his family, right?
Yeah.
But Waller's role in this is also it's most of this issue, right?
Okay,
Like
okay.
how does she get this information? What goes on? Well, she goes to Mr. Terrific's like labs.
Oh, okay.
And essentially they show up, they roll in with like a whole bunch of warrants.
Hmm.
And I love it because like she waits until Mr. Terrific's off
Yes.
doing JSA stuff.
Right.
Like she waits till he's not there.
Yeah.
And then rolls up. And I love it because like her group is obviously led by Peacemaker. We don't necessarily call attention to that. He's just there.
He's just there. Yeah.
He's just there. It's not like it's, oh, and here's a Peacemaker cameo. He's just there because he's meant to be there. And I kind of appreciate that. It just makes it feel
like it's part of everything.
Like it's just part of everything, right? Like that's just, well, obviously he would show up, but we don't need to make a big deal about it, right?
Yes.
But he's got like a hologram kind of generator, and it's Waller's talking. Meanwhile, Mr. Terrific's on his own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just these two giant holograms just going at each other until eventually she's like, hey, like group, like use like something essentially that'll like disrupt his hologram.
Mm-hmm.
So I get what I want. Like make him go away.
Yeah.
So because the lab was studying what was going on with the Flashes,
right, they
get that information and they turn it on them. And they're like, they're the cause of it. They're breaking physics, essentially. So like their use of their powers, like the heroes are bad. And so when Waller steps into the podcast show live stream, essentially, she doesn't arrest them because she's like, technically I can't arrest you too,
right? No,
but I'm gonna kick you out and I'm gonna go on air and I'm gonna talk to your fans directly and tell them that they're bad people. It's funny because originally Iris was like, I could imagine like Waller using this information against like heroes. So she already kind of primed the public to hear that, but like Waller immediately just goes and talks to the people, which I was like, that's an interesting move.
That is that's a new tactic.
That's a new tactic, but it's also like intrinsically her, like just manipulation.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
Like I'm not only going to like be like, I'm going to like manipulate things behind the scenes.
No, I'll go in public.
I'm going to publicly, I'm going to turn fans against you. And if I can get that sort of support, things will go easier. So yeah, this is a really strong issue, but it was, again, this one's a little more straightforward. And so if you've been struggling with the Flash, but maybe you want to know what's going on as we're approaching, what's the Waller event called?
Absolute Power.
Absolute Power. Maybe you want to catch up. These past couple of issues, while maybe you may not super get what's going on with the Flashes themselves, Waller being here and disclosing the information kind of breaks it down in a sense. So maybe you won't get like all like the little other layers that Spurrier has cooking. But this is a little more straightforward. So I like this issue regardless. I do miss some of the crazier panel work that we've been getting in like earlier issues. When
you have people like Ramon Perez and Georges on this thing, you expect to have like, and I see some dynamic images.
No, you do, but they weren't the original artist.
No, it was Deodato Jr.
Yeah, and so this is a little more, you start feeling it's a little more superhero-y. They're still playing
because they are very like different artists. Like
they
you don't
are.
see either of those names on like a standard,
no,
like a Captain
but when
America
you compare it to the previous art, it automatically feels
different.
More superhero. And again, the panel layout is a little more standardized. With like breakout moments here or there, or like kinetic moments. Good stuff. I still like this book, and I'm here for it.
Nice.
And again, I get it. But yeah.
Well, here's another book nobody's into. The Penguin #9 from Tom King and Rafael de la Torre. This is, of course, the Penguin series that I immediately dismissed when they announced it. But because it was Tom, I also pre-ordered. And it's still fantastic. This one has a lot more Batman in it. Could be a note. Could be that King, at this point, knows what people want. But it's funny because, like, obviously from the cover, you don't get Batman. Like, this is... It's not like hey, and now it's the Bat Show.
Right.
But you're getting a lot more Batman in this. The concept being, of course, that like this is in the wake of the big kind of like heel turn, which is that like Penguin and Batman have always been in cahoots, and that Batman facilitated Penguin's ascension into crime power so that he could like then turn on larger problems. And and they created the persona of the Penguin, this concept of him being like a silly, goofy, cartoonish type villain, so that he'd be thrown in Arkham, so it'd be easier to get out, so that he could continue to be in the underworld and feed Batman information. This is like the world we're in right now, where that's the conceit. But also, Penguin's been kicked out of his place. His children have ascended to the throne, and they're ruthless and unpredictable, and nobody has any control over them. So they need to put Penguin back in. But when I say they, I don't mean Batman. Batman's more just like finding this stuff out as it's going. And so in this one, Batman is kind of like, that's enough. Like he goes and finds Penguin, and he's like, we're either gonna put you where you are supposed to be, or I'm gonna put you in the ground. Like, I don't have any patience for you anymore, because you think I'm an idiot, and you've been treating me like that forever. And you've been treating me like that by thinking you're making me feel like we have a copacetic arrangement. But then you'll go and be like, Batman's an idiot, and I don't like, and he doesn't know everything that I'm doing, and I do. Like,
right.
And I'm gonna stop you. And it's really fun to see like all this 3D chess going on, and how Batman is coping with the Penguin's now unsanctioned rise to power.
Right.
So Batman's figuring it out, and Penguin has been essentially using Batman his entire career, and in this case, he's doing it by committing horrible terrorist acts in Gotham City and blaming it on his children, and covering his tracks using a network of characters that he has paid, strong-armed, or influenced in some way to facilitate these acts. And so for Batman, he's like, I know that Penguin is doing it, and all the evidence says that it's his children. And it's so airtight that says to me that it definitely is Penguin.
Right.
But I can't prove it, and I'm also like I'm a detective. And a good detective follows the clues, and the clues say that it's his children. But also, I know who the Penguin is.
Right.
So it's interesting to watch that, because like, is Batman played for a fool? Is Batman an idiot? And it's fun to actually get like a little window into Batman for a minute to be like, no. But it's also fun to see, in comic book form, an infallible hero being gaslit and seeing and watching him react.
Yeah.
And seeing Batman change his tactics as a result as well.
So the title that you just kind of glossed over, it being called Last March of the Penguins, which is like simultaneously, it's like two different references.
Yeah.
Like it's a March of the Penguins and also like the Last March of the Ents.
Yeah, there's no trees, but it's still bizarre. I mean, yeah. But through it all, like Penguin has been, he's emotional, but he's stoic and closed off, and he seems to be in control of every situation. But like on the last page reveal, he does have a weakness.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh,
fish.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's a good series that nobody's reading, and I enjoyed it. He has to find
a pebble for his mate.
He needs to give a shiny pebble to his mate. Yeah, it's true. That's how they do that.
He has to pick the best pebble.
Well, the best one for the mate he's chosen.
Right. Yeah.
It's all in the eye of the beholder. Let's see here. Young Goku over 9000 wanted to say it feels like the Krakoa era ending. It's Marvel in a massive hurry to move on.
Yep.
Like, I get promoting the new era, but it feels like this one's ending with a whimper, even though I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, here's the thing. The only way it will be ending with a whimper is on the marketing side, because I don't feel like any of the creators are holding anything back. I think they're taking huge swings. I think they're finishing it out, not worrying about the fact that no one will talk about this for a while, or
it's true,
or that the writers may not be dealing with this for a while.
Well, and they won't be invited to be part of the new initiative. So they're like,
I think they're just telling the story, because For me, this feels like a showcase of professionals.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's nice to see. And not
It
that
is.
like the rest of the industry isn't professional, but like this is just a good showing of professionals who are coming to the plate each time being like, I'm doing my best and I'm gonna give you what I've got. And I'm gonna tell the story that I want to tell, regardless of the fact that I know it's coming to an end and it would be easy enough for me to kind of move on like mentally and go on to the next project. But no, I'm gonna finish strong.
Well, and building off of that, you know, it's not just that it's watching these people telling the best stories they can, but unlike every other Big Two universe book, this is a team of creatives that are working on one initiative.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, there's no cohesion or coordination with the Spider offices or the League offices. You know, like Amanda Waller appears in Flash. Amanda Waller appears in Green Arrow. Amanda Waller appears in Titans. Like, that's not a coordination. There is coordination, but it's like the most superficial coordination.
Right.
You know? And while, yes, we just got finished earlier talking about how some of the Fall of X books don't necessarily tie into each other as directly as you might expect, with them all having the same banner. But like, they are all like, this is the X office. These are the X writers.
Yes.
Everyone on this, like under this umbrella, is working on X-Men and getting you the X-Men universe stories. And we don't see that very often. And it's cool that they're pulling it off.
Yeah, no,
especially one last time.
I agree. Yeah, it's like one last ride.
Exactly.
And that's why, like, I definitely understand what you're saying about it feeling like a lot of people have already moved on, but the most important people behind these books haven't. And I think that that's great.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like it's okay if Marvel marketing has moved on to the next thing because they're like, I gotta sell the thing that's coming out 17 months from now.
It does prove
it's not. It's like, you know, it's sooner than we think.
It's like the groundhog. It's like, oh, Marvel marketing poked its head out of the hole, proving that they exist. Thank you for reminding me. Nice to see you again. See you next winter. Carl Maxey.
You're really spicy today.
You know, just do your jobs. That's all I'm saying. Carl Maxey, I think the Kang/Multiverse Saga is a good idea. The problem with his writers and their bosses have their priorities out of order behind the scenes. If you're talking about the movies, yeah, they do. Paul Williams, elsewhere suggestion, sibling rivalries. Just how many comic heroes have an evil sibling? Me and a friend tried to name as many as we could, and there's too many. That's fun. Make a list, put it out there, tell people, and they'll notice. But yeah,
they're suggesting that you could do that as an Elseworlds exchange.
Oh, I love that. I thought you were just pitching it as an Elseworlds book.
No,
but no, yeah, I love
exchange.
that. Yes, no, that's all right. I'm putting it in the list. It's going on the thing.
He's doing it right now, and I have to make sure I talk because he's not going to be talking right now, and I have to fill the void with my voice about random anythings. Right? I mean, I could start talking about a book, but then we won't be able to see the cover. So
that's right. So there you have it. See how well that worked? That was textbook. Jason Bragg says, thanks for all the smiles and the countless hours of entertainment you provided me. Well, thank you, Jason, for being, a loyal viewer.
Yeah.
From middle school to when T Little House to me, now entering law school.
Woo! I love it.
Be one of the good ones, Jaron.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Good luck in law school.
We appreciate it, bud. And congratulations to you.
Yeah.
And Car Eternal, missed you at C2E2, but I wanted to say how much of an inspiration you've been to me. You got me back into comics, and now I'm finally writing my first one with a friend to ComicPop. Well, thank you, Car Eternal.
So great.
I'm sorry I missed you, man. It kills me because I was like, I had a lot of downtime yesterday walking around the floor, and I really wanted to see everybody who was in the Windy City that wanted to meet up with us. And I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to see you and too many others. I saw quite a few comments that were like, oh, I missed you. And I'm like, well, all right, next time I'll just say, all right, between this time and this time, I'll just be over in this wall and I'll see you there. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity and for watching us this long. Yeah, what else we got, Tiffany?
Can I talk about the penultimate issue of Gods real quick?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Jonathan Hickman writing this, Valeria Skeety on art, and what an issue to be the penultimate issue. I really didn't know where this one was going. I mean, you could see some of the writing on the wall, but this one was sweet and sad.
Yeah,
and just building this new set of mythos. That Hickman has come up with. This issue very much focused on Dimitri, Wynn's like companion, but not really companion because he works for the other side of things, right? He works for the natural order of things.
Yeah.
Not the powers that be. But yeah, we get like a bit of backstory on Dimitri and where he comes from and what he's doing and why he's doing it. And I really don't want to ruin this one for y'all because like this was a really great one, especially being the penultimate issue.
That's fair.
But at the end of the day, it definitely puts just wins in a different place than where we might have met him earlier. Also, Doctor Strange returns to this issue briefly.
Hooray!
He's just there for a little bit. I actually really love when other people drop Doc into things.
Yes.
Because 9 times out of 10, if Doc shows up in another book at Marvel, right? And he's only there for a few pages.
He's plugging a hole.
He is typically dealing with something you're like, what was that?
Oh, yeah, no. If like Spider-Man swings through his window and he's like, oh, get back, vile fiend. You're like, what was that? What was that fiend?
Yeah, like that is so often where he's like busy, he's doing something, he's on the astral plane, or like in this issue where you go to the sanctum and he's got like some crazy like monstrous creature he's doing something to.
Right. Surgery, maybe.
Surgery, I don't know, but he's doing something and it's amazing.
Right. And it's like, what is it? What is it? What end?
Yeah, what are we doing here,
dude? Man? I mean, wouldn't it be great if, because has he written him? He's never done a book.
No.
Where's Jonathan Hickman's Doctor Strange like 6-issue miniseries?
Yeah, as much as I do love McKay doing this,
he's doing a great job.
I would kick McKay off that book in a heartbeat if Hickman could if I had any power of anything.
Because I understand a Gods is supposed to be Doctor Strange, but like they, but it's supposed to be for TV or something.
But I'm legitimately thrilled it's not.
Yeah, no, it's much better.
I like Win. It's just easier. Again, it's easier to have things happen. You don't have to worry about it. Like Win is not safe.
Yes.
None of the characters that Hickman has created are safe.
Right.
But this Doc, like Hickman's version of Doc, even though McKay very much is like what he remembers from like late 90s or late 80s, early 90s Doctor Strange, Hickman's take on him, like even for these few panels, feels like he's ripped out of that time period. You know what I mean? He's to the point. He's sassy. He's doing his work. It's weird. It's whatever. Like it's just there for a few pages. It's great.
I saw a great Reddit thread, I think this morning, that asked this question. I'm going to ask you, Tiffany, on the chat as well. But what voice do you hear for Doctor Strange? I've seen a lot of different people say Vincent Price, more than a few people saying, unfortunately, it's Benedict Cumberbatch. And when I say that, I mean people were like, I really hate to say it, but it is Benedict Cumberbatch at this point. And one person who got a lot of upvotes, including my own, which was Dr. Orpheus.
Yeah, okay. So oftentimes it is.
Thanks to you, by the way, because I didn't watch Venture Brothers until you came along.
Often, yes. Depending on the book, it is Dr. Orpheus. But other times, I listened to this horror podcast series called The Black Tapes.
Okay.
And there was a character in there, and I think he was also a doctor of some sort. But he had this like deep, like more like gravelly sort of voice with no discernible accent.
Right. Not like the house accent where I'm hiding it by having a vocal fry.
Yeah. Occasionally that's my voice for him. Is this random voice actor's voice for Doctor Strange. I just love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the Blue Tape Murders you said?
The Black Tapes.
Black Tapes Project. What's the character name?
I don't remember. It was so long ago that I read or that I listened to that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, hang on. If you let me see Alex Regan, Richard Strand, Dr. Strand.
Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Strand is often my Doctor Strange.
That's funny.
Yeah. I don't know when I decided to make that casting, but I did.
Interesting. I love that. That's cool. And I love how esoteric it is. It's impossible to find.
Yeah.
Dr. Richard Strand. There you go.
Yep.
Well, folks, you got your homework. Who the hell is that guy? Yeah. I like this, and thank you for engaging. Yeah, get me my blue windbreaker. I had Taco Bell for lunch. Yeah,
pumpkin.
Anyway, yeah. So moving on.
Oh yeah, for sure. I can also talk about what was I going to talk about? Oh, let's I guess just do a whole bunch of X-Men.
Yes.
Start with Wolverine really quickly.
Shotgun 'em, yeah.
Wolverine number 48 came out. This was written by Ben Percy and Victor Lavelle. If you ever notice I switched them back and forth, it's because they switch back and forth.
Oh, that's
each
cute.
issue. So it's like I think issue 47 was Victor Lavelle and Ben Percy. They just flop back and forth. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. Look at this Stretch Armstrong Wolverine.
Yeah.
Her.
Right. It's drawn by Corey Smith, and I gotta tell you, this issue was one of the first few times I've kind of felt decompression in this
Oh
series.
no.
And not in necessarily a bad way. Like
Just take the time.
I
Give it.
feel like we're taking like a minute, and maybe that's okay. Like I wonder if in trade,
Yeah.
this leading up to the penultimate and then the final will feel right.
Yeah.
But when you're reading month to month, it just feels like,
Like, oh my
wait,
God.
what the pacing gets weird. But again, like if you're thinking about for the future, for the trade read of it all, it might feel good. Like it's Wolverine dealing with the fact that, oh my gosh, Wolverine has no more powers. What's he gonna do? Right? How are we gonna deal with this?
How is he still walking around? No.
Well, he
Didn't
is.
we already do that when he was killed?
It's what are his next moves? It's what is X-Force doing right now?
Yeah.
It's how is Wolverine gonna stand up against
Saber-tooths.
teeths.
Saber teeth.
They call it this like the saber teeth, like in terms of their whatchamacallit, base. It's the saber teeth base. I was like, I guess that's correct.
It should be Fort Sabretooth or the dentist's office.
But if you question how he's going to do it, well, Wolverine had has like a bunker essentially. Like if Wolverine loses his powers and everything goes like
ass up.
Yeah. What will Wolverine do? He comes to this island that's like super dangerous because it's like in a super cold area and there's lots of grizzly bears.
Oh no.
Because like that's like an icon.
Watch out for the predator.
That's like an iconic image, right? Is Wolverine
fighting a wild animal
and bears.
Yeah, bears.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
And so he goes into this vault. Meanwhile, like X-Force is gearing up because they are going to go deal with the Saber-Teeth. The Saber-Teeth have returned to Krakoa. Obviously they want something there, and it must be pretty bad because like, why would you go where the Stark Sentinels are?
Yeah.
And Wolverine emerges wearing an adamantium suit.
Yes.
And hoisting one of the Muramasa blades.
Cool.
So he's ready to go. He's like, I might be out or I might be down, but I'm not out.
Yeah.
So,
all right. You know what you should have done? You should have popped those hot claws. Because they never explained where they went.
I feel like that would be not good in his current state.
That's true. Be like, ah!
Well, I guess it would cauterize the wounds. So
there we go.
But yeah, like this is, like I said, this issue felt a little like,
okay, let's take our time.
It's like a weird breath because it's still like hyper violent. Laura has escaped. She like manages to use the fact that she's revealed to X-Force where the Saber-Teeth base, like mobile base is. Stark Sentinels are showing up, and so she just dives out of their ship, their plane, and like lands. So like her bones are broken.
Right. But they'll stitch together.
She'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, things happened in it, but it just felt like it was like, which probably makes sense for there only being 2 more issues.
Well, 2 more issues. It's just gonna be 2 full. It's just gonna be 1 issue spread across 2 comics.
I do wonder, right? Yeah. I do wonder because it's X-Force is stepping in. They're finally like going out there doing their thing, and Wolverine will have like presumably his like final
battle
showdown.
Yes,
with Sabretooth.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Additionally, should we chat a bit about X-Men?
Yeah.
So this past week, we were gifted. I say gifted because I loved them. We had 2 issues of 2 different mini series for the fall of X, Rise of the Powers and X-Men Forever.
Right.
The thing about these are they're both written by Kieran Gillen.
Right. So they probably feed into each other really well.
They do. And I ended up reading, I read Rise first and then X-Men Forever second.
Oh, you read Rise?
Yes. And when you start reading Forever, there's like a note that says like
read Rise first.
No, it says these 2 like issues, this and Rise, like happen concurrently. If you read that first, like it's fine.
Okay.
Basically, these 2 issues answer questions from the other.
Okay, cool.
And so I'm gonna go over each of them individually, but forgive me if I mix
more
up
of them.
Well, yeah, because it's like they're written by the same author. They came out in the same week, and they're answering questions from each other, and they're happening at the same time.
But that said, let's say who drew what. So RB Silva did Rise.
Yeah, let's just start with Rise.
Okay.
So Rise of the Powers of 10 came out, I believe it's issue 4 of this, which I believe it makes it the penultimate as well.
I believe you're correct.
I think it's a 5-issue mini.
I believe you are technically correct.
And that's the best
kind.
Yeah, and it is. These 2 issues are Gillen really focusing on what what is the X-Men's plan? Like, where it seems like Fall is a lot of them executing things and discovering, like, oh no, Sentinel City, oh no, like, Nimrod, oh
A lot of
no, Dr.
reacting.
Gregor is like, dead. Like,
Mhm.
it's action. It's happening.
Mhm.
This has action too, but it's a lot of like, what is Professor X doing?
Right.
And
What is your plan, man?
Gillen really is focusing on Professor X and his role in all of this.
That's cool.
Which is really interesting. And initially, if you read Rise of the Powers of 10, you're kind of like, is Professor X
a monster, or
yeah,
at least like an asshole?
yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah. And
yes,
it's like,
but like I'm so
yes.
tired of it.
But then Powers comes along, and it's everyone's starting to understand what he's doing.
Mhm.
And obviously there is a plan,
Yeah.
and he is playing the villain, but he is definitely the most interested in making sure he saves humanity.
Mhm.
Or not humanity, mutant kind. But it seems like he's given up on humanity by the fact that in the last issues we read, he made a deal
Mhm.
where like he
Yes.
joined up with
he
Orcus.
Matrix 3'd it. Yeah.
Yeah, where he's just like, no, it's cool. Like you can do that thing we saw in Powers of 10.
Yes.
To us now, it'll be fine,
Mhm.
right? So this issue is he basically like he shows up at Orcus, and then Orcus takes him, and they like subdue him.
Yeah.
And he offers to help out.
Do they also shave him because he has a horrible beard?
No, he still has the beard.
All right, that's a shame.
I don't mind the beard. I like the beard.
Okay.
I do like it.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
No, we're all aware.
Okay, good.
Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah.
Enjoy that terrible beard.
I like the beard, and I think it looks nice.
Okay.
I think it's a fun look for him.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh. Essentially it's like, he knows that they're moving against humanity. And he's like, I can help you with that. Like we can work together. If you give us like our fences and whatever, like we can work together and I'll help you. I can be the ultimate sentinel for you because like I can find anyone and I can get you all the information.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Of course.
Because essentially she's like, Omega Sentinel's like, I'm sorry, what are you going to give to us? Like you want us to like essentially take care of you and like spare you, but like what will you be gifting to us in return? And he's like, myself, essentially.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the white hot room, we see that Rachel is there. She's like,
yes, because Xavier shot her.
Xavier shot her, and then he shot Rasputin at the beginning of this.
What?
Too. And so she's reborn in the white hot room, and she's greeted by Exodus and Destiny and Hope. And she's like, Xavier's gone crazy, and he just he's doing something terrible. And they're like, yeah, we know.
Oh, okay. So she's not in on the plan.
She's not in on anything. But there is a plan, and everyone has a role to play, and she's not thrilled with it. But her main role is to resurrect the Phoenix,
right?
Because the Phoenix is at like an end state. Essentially, it's not that just that the Phoenix is dying, because the Phoenix could be reborn. The Phoenix is ending,
right?
And so it's like, how do you bring back that which is meant to be reborn? And so like Rachel's like, I have some thoughts. Like I have some ideas on how we might be able to do that. So that's what she's meant to do. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew is pulling together anyone who is in the white hot room that has any X-Men experience or any combat experience at all.
Okay.
And they're going to find a way to get back to Earth in order to help. Right. And that's neat. So like, again, Xavier's there to assist them and to help like find like, oh, well, like show us like an example of what you mean. And so they have like a group of scientists who are working for Orcus, and Nimrod's like, okay, I'm ready to help out. I'm ready to do what I need to do. And Omega Sentinel's like, I want you to tell us which of these scientists have any sort of potential to rebel.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's these. And they just blow them away.
Oh.
And they're like, okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Next. Oh yeah. They're like, our human leaders seem to be a little too organized. So like, we need to do something about that. And he's like, fine. And so what he does is he introduces the like cognitive drain on them. It's not enough for them to be replaced, but it's enough for them to not be as ready to go.
Yes.
Or as helpful or as useful.
Mm-hmm.
And then she wants to help. She wants to destroy Krakoa, I think. Oh no, she wants to get the X-Men away from Krakoa.
Okay.
And he's like, come on, like really?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't understand. Like you got to do that. You have to, you can't just let us have this.
Right.
And then inevitably, there's like, that's right. She's concerned that like there won't be a way because the X-Men are taking down Sentinel City. They're like, how will we be able to like crush humanity then?
Yeah.
And he's like, fine. Like I have the nuclear codes. Like, here you go. And I really love it because it's like boring to him, but also like wearying because like every time that this happens, like I think we're meant to believe that he's like, I don't want to do this, but like, it's kind of like for the greater good.
Yeah.
Like it's a needs of the many kind of situation. It feels like,
yeah,
because if they're capable of doing this and whatever plans he has in place don't come to fruition, they don't stop the AI, threat.
Yes.
The machine threat, then everyone will be gone.
Right.
Like all of humanity will be gone. And so like Professor X, I do feel like, yes, his priority is the mutants, but I do think he's like, I have to sacrifice a certain number of people in order to save
everyone.
Right. Which sucks.
Yes.
Right. But we also see that Moira is still having conversations with Enigma, and that, presumably Enigma's like, well, we know what's going on. Like, I can see everything, but like, what does that mean that there's things I can't see? Like, what are the things I can't see then? Like, I feel like there's something I'm missing.
Okay.
Right. And like, he doesn't trust that Xavier's there. He's like, he's up to something, and I have to figure out what it is. Right.
Sure.
Rachel's prepping for her plans. She has a group of the X-Men that were meant to be X-Men. Her team bring Jean Grey's body and set it up on like a pyre.
Okay.
Right. Meanwhile, the five have been resurrecting people. People keep saying in the book, the cradle. And I'm like, I'm 99% sure. How about this? I'll say I'm 90% sure that the cradles are initially only meant to be
where they kept the memories.
Yeah, the memories, right? Not where they kept the genetic material. Now, it could just be that, I haven't read every single issue of X-Men post Moira turning. I kind of like dropped off on certain books.
Yes.
So I'm guessing I might have just missed.
You might have missed like a book or something.
Where they said like, now
we put the material there too.
Or like, we don't need
Sinister
this anymore, or like because like the plan was inevitably to figure out a way to make him not have to be part of it.
Yeah.
I just don't recall them being like, this is how we did it. It could be there, and that's fine. But it bothers me slightly. Then I'm like, but that's not what the cradles are. Anyway, they've resurrected, like Xavier had like a list, and he's like, these are everybody you need to bring back, and like anyone who can fight.
Right.
So start bringing them back in the white hot room. Just bring them back. And Rasputin gets brought back. Obviously, Rachel is brought back. A whole bunch of folks are brought back, and Sinister is brought back.
Jeez.
And like Rasputin has like a meltdown.
Oh yeah, sure.
Over that one, right? And they're like, we need him because he still has part of like Doug's DNA in him, so we can like communicate with Krakoa. We need him, right? Additionally, they know that like Apocalypse is bringing the core, like the mutant Krakoa, the core of Krakoa, back to Krakoa.
Yes.
So it's like they need to go and support him, and how they're going to do that, like in the most like Kieran Gillen kind of way, in which like they managed to like be like bloomed out of flowers onto Krakoa from the white hot room. I'm like, yes, okay, done. I love it. And they start the fight. Exodus is doing his thing. We will find out some stuff later on. But Xavier, don't forget, brought Mother Righteous to Orcus as like a like ta-da.
Yeah.
I figure you'd want her. And so they take her, and she immediately is pulled in by Enigma. And I love this moment because like this is like in a sense her seeing her husband again, right? And she's like, don't kill me. And he's like, all right, then what will you give me? And she's like, I'll tell you everything. And so theoretically, he now knows about the Phoenix and what they're going to do. I think this is an example of Xavier and the team trying to outthink Enigma. Like, I think their plan is to let him know certain things. And I have a feeling that Moira will play a role. Like, I don't believe that Mother Righteous necessarily knows that Xavier spoke to her.
Right.
I don't believe that she knows what he said.
Okay.
To her necessarily. I don't know that, but yeah. Enigma is terrified, obviously, of the Phoenix because the Phoenix blade can destroy dominions,
Mhm.
and so he makes a plea to other dominions that, like, you know, like we need to rally together, and if we rally,
Yeah.
the Phoenix can be defeated.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so they respond with like, if that happens, we'll be there. And like we end this issue. I love this because it's like Jean Grey on this pyre, like being engulfed in flames. And you're
Yes,
like,
so it's
oh,
like
that's dope, right?
Phoenix, yeah.
You're like, what's happening? So then you go over and you read Rise of the Powers of 10.
No, you read that
Oh,
already.
sorry. And then you go over and you read
X-Men Forever.
you read it again because you love Kieran
Yeah,
Gillen's
because
work.
you had such a good time.
I had such a good time. You got to go back. Now you read X-Men Forever #2, written by Kieran Gillen with art by Lucas Maresca. And this is the book that was really focused on, if you remember, because this is the one I always forget coming out until it comes out. Like
Yep.
we had one issue, which I was like, wait, what? And then we had the second issue, which I was like, wait, what? This is the one that really focused on Destiny and Sinister's relationship and, you know, like what deals they've made in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, Destiny does play a role in this, but this is really Gillen supporting what's going on in the other book as well from the White Hot Room's perspective.
Good. We could use that.
So it's like, what is going on? Like, why are people doing this? Why does everyone else seem to know what's happening and Rachel doesn't?
Yeah.
Well, the main players in the room, the main quiet council right now for the White Hot Room are Hope, Destiny, Exodus, and I guess Sinister is now back a part of it. Right?
Okay.
And Destiny is like, he's like, why did you bring me back? And she's like, because I told you we're all mutants. We have to be on the same page, right? And honestly, they like Exodus was completely against bringing Sinister back.
Yeah.
And they were like, their pitch was, listen, if and when he goes wrong, you can just kill him again.
Right.
And he's like,
yeah, but like, you know how much,
let's do it.
right? But you know how hard it is to kill him?
Exodus thinks if there's a will, there's a way when it comes to Exodus.
Yeah,
right?
Great.
So they all have a role to play. Rachel shows up. She is like really upset, which Xavier had warned them about. Like Xavier, we'll see later on when he fills them in what happened was, I think this is in this issue. Is it? No, was it in the other issue? Oh my gosh, did I completely not mention that part of the issue?
I don't know.
Let's find out.
Yeah,
let's
do
go back. I have to know. Because there is a part of one of the issues in which Xavier talks to everyone in the White Hot Room because Mother Righteous figured out how to essentially get herself free by being like, I figured out how to safely destroy my other counterpart that's over in the White Hot Room because presumably if one died, the other would die. So she's like, I got to keep him separate. She figures out how to like release that.
Okay.
And in doing so, Xavier is now like, well, I'm going to use you. And so he does.
Yep. That's what I do.
And she, the one who's melting, essentially, Xavier's able to like speak through her in a sense because like part of him's in there somehow.
All right.
And he's like, here's what's gonna happen. You need to bring back the Phoenix. Rachel's gonna come back. You have like, I killed her and Rasputin, but like you have to bring them back. I need them over there. Like I need them to be in the White Hot Room. I don't need them here.
Yeah.
And that was the only way I could get them over there. I need Rachel to fulfill what like her part of things. She's gonna be mad. Like use it.
Yeah.
So like the team knows what's going on over there. And so they have to break it down for Rachel. And so they do. And there's like this really like spectacular moment where like, she's like, I can't believe all of you are down for this. And like, they're like, you're surrounded by mostly villains. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then she looks at Hope and Hope's like, I'm not a hero, I'm a soldier. And there's a war to be fought.
Yeah. That's Cable's daughter for you.
Right. And she's like, so like, yeah, like this time, like for once, in like our history, humans are going to share the cost. It's not just going to be us. I'm like, oh, that's so good, right?
Yeah, totally.
Additionally, you know, like we find out that the dead, like, all right, the X-Men from Dead X-Men convinced Xavier that like this wasn't the way to go. Like, don't just kill Moira. That Krakoa was too important. Like, you can't just unmake Krakoa in that way because the easiest way would be to just reset.
Yeah, just reset her.
But to do that would be more harmful, to take that away from everyone, even if it's like a nightmare now.
Yeah. Even though they're literally doing it.
Right. Well, no, but Krakoa, like they're preserving that it happened.
Yeah.
Like everyone can be like, hey, remember that time we all lived on that crazy sex island?
Yeah.
But that like Xavier's dream isn't his anymore. Right. And so like he's come to realize that like I have to preserve this, but like this isn't my dream any longer. Like I can't have this dream. So like the best I can do is be a martyr for my people. Like that's all I can do at this point. Like I am not meant to lead them. It's time for someone else to lead.
Which is what Spurrier said in the interview on this channel,
right? But I'm just like, that's really cool, right? Like, so we're watching Xavier like play the role of a villain because he knows this is the best he can do for his like the people he cares about the most. And I'm like, that's really cool. Additionally, Exodus breaks it down where he's like, you know, like because Rachel's like, she's still like, no, you're all wrong. Ugh, I'm righteous. And he's like, what would you have done to prevent your timeline? Like, do you think you would have acted worse?
Right.
Or would you have had the courage to act as Xavier does right now? And like, it's amazing. Like he just like whips her down and she's like, fine. Like, I'm in. I'm doing my thing. Let's go. There's also like this moment in this book where a character has like a young boy like hears that, you know, the X-Men will be leaving. Like any of the X-Men who are that you know their name are going to be going to go join the fight, and they're going back and they're leaving the White Hot Room. But they can't bring everyone with them, which means that presumably those people are stuck there.
Yes.
And like in order to do that, they're basically going to end up killing what they built there. So it's like they're going to have to figure out how to survive there as well.
Okay.
Like it's going to be bad for these people. And there's like this very meta moment where the character essentially like says like, oh, you're gonna leave, you know, whatever, you're gonna head home, and then goes like, you know, oh, that's right, what does he say? Okay, Exodus is like, no, like we're not important, like we're just gonna go fight the fight, you guys are the important ones, that's who I care about, you know, because Exodus is Exodus, right? And then he's like this totally meta moment, the mutant he's talking to, he's like, yeah, I don't think many people will agree, we won't be missed. And I'm like, the reader, that is like literally Gillen saying like, you're going to forget about these like newer characters or smaller characters that got their chance in the sun because of Krakoa. I like, it's like, I don't know if that's actually what it is. That's definitely my read on it is like Gillen going like, it's okay. But like, Exodus
and they'll be here.
But Exodus is like, I'll remember you. I'll remember all of you. And I'm like, yes, that's yes. I love this. Right. Like also kind of interesting to see Exodus in this, like, not necessarily a hero role, but like
as a leader.
Yeah. Right. So they make their journey there, and Hope is staying behind.
Okay.
Right. Because it was like initially you were like, oh, Rachel's doing whatever. Rachel's leaving. Rachel came up with the plan.
Yeah.
For how to bring back the Phoenix. Hope is the one who has to execute it. Which is like super interesting to me because Rachel's theory is that in order for the Phoenix to come back, it has to be reborn in fire.
Yeah.
But like the thing that you keep hearing people asking is like, but what fire can burn Jean Grey? Right. And it's like, I'm like, that's a really interesting question, right? Because she's been the Phoenix, you know, like there's like fire is part of who she is, even if that's not her power set. Right. And inevitably it's revealed that it's like, it's her own. Right. And so like Hope manages to summon that and, you know, use the pyre and set her aflame. And when Jean returns, presumably we see her, we see the Phoenix, and the Phoenix screams out, no.
Right. Like, I don't want to be here.
And Jean is like, talks with Hope and essentially is like, you brought me back. Like, I totally get how you did it. Great. Awesome. The Phoenix is scared. And it doesn't want to complete the transformation. Like, doesn't want to allow itself to die, like to end and be reborn. Like it's afraid. So she essentially is like, can you help us, Hope? And they just Hope like cocking a gun at the end. And I'm like, all right.
All right.
But like, this is a cool period where like, we're going to get to see like potentially a new take on the Phoenix or a refreshed Phoenix. Right. So it's like, we can tell different stories now with the Phoenix. It actually kind of rolls fairly well. Like Gillen's kind of setting them up to be able to like play on that nostalgia card of the Phoenix, which it seems like is what they want to do. They want to play that nostalgia card for the next role or the next
period of X-Men.
Yeah. So it's like, well, for a lot of folk, the Phoenix is like a big part of it. And the Phoenix has shown up in a lot of different books. She's shown up in a lot of different characters.
Well, we avoided using her during the entire Krakoa period.
We did for sure. But I love the idea that it's like they're gonna roll this back in a sense where it's like, yes, the Phoenix will have done all the things that the Phoenix did, but this will be like a new iteration. generation of the Phoenix.
Exactly.
And so you can tell new stories of the
Yeah.
Phoenix, or you can be like, oh, Jean Grey has to deal with this new Phoenix.
Yeah,
Or someone else does. Who knows?
Well,
I don't
hopefully
know.
not, because the last time it was Echo and it was stupid.
But I mean, like, others have carried the Phoenix too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
kind of cool stuff. I just wanted to go over that one because a lot happened in that book.
Right.
But that particular little nugget from Gillen, like calling out the fact that like people will not remember these characters.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's sad. True.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's like, we're very specifically pulling in all these big names.
Yeah, exactly. Pull all the characters you remember that have action figures.
Yeah.
Fair.
So good stuff. Really, just I love, this is like one of those weeks for me where it's just like, these aren't light books.
No.
Like Wolverine obviously is a little more light.
More straightforward.
Yeah,
Certainly.
a little more straightforward for certain. But it was like, I have a Hickman book.
Mm-hmm.
I had Gods. I got Spurrier on Flash, and I got 2 Gillen books. I'm like, ooh, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
It's a lot.
Raidu says, happy Monday, my favorite comic power couple.
Oh,
thank you very much, Raidu. Had an exhausting 2 weeks, so I'm looking forward to pouring a stiff drink and wait for Sal to tell me what my opinion of Ultimate Spider-Man should be. Just kidding, it's great. Yeah.
I hate when you've had like just a couple of weeks where
many...
you know it's like it feels like, oh, it's never going to come to an end, but hopefully things are starting to relax for you, because that's the best feeling
it's
when
true.
You know you've survived through it.
Dante Cook, hi ComicPop family. Speaking of a little bit on Rom V, he's co-writing the Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives comic. The first issue dropped last week and it was so great.
Yeah, he like I do love his like love.
His creature approaches are always great.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. Dex Baker, Tiffany, you're thinking of Dr. Stand, and I'll give you another $5 to review that show's ending one
It's
day.
Dr. Strand. They just missed
Oh, Dr. Strand. Yes, you're thinking of Dr. Strand.
Oh, seriously, the ending of that I still think about to this day. I still think about the ending of that podcast to this day. I really liked that podcast. I don't know how I feel about that one, but yeah, so that's a fair thing to say, because I go backward and forward on that about how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I really liked that podcast. That was good. that was good stuff.
Matt Fisher, hey, hello, B. Sal, I couldn't find you. My comic dream will have to wait. Well, I'm sorry about that. Next time. And what was it? C, I always wondered what Doctor Strange's voice, or sorry, he actually gave me an addendum to that. It's not August. It's something else.
Assumed?
Yeah, let's. I always think of what Doctor Strange's with the voices. John Vernon's gave him a smash. Tiffany, did you see the new Danny Ketch figure they're releasing?
I did. I actually did see that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's a little pricey, and I always saw the big eyes on his like front like windshield as high beams.
Yeah.
And this one they're windows, which I guess makes sense, because I know if
they
you're
look like they're just cutouts.
They are cutouts in the action figure, but like it makes sense. It's supposed to be like a windshield, so you're supposed to see through them. Like you're supposed to look through them, but I always saw them as high beams.
I thought they were too.
Yeah.
Because we're the lights.
Right? AKA 480. Sally, you're the only person I've heard that hates anyone but you as much as I do. Yeah, no, it came up on the other channel today. Anyone but you. They were talking about apparently it's amazing. And I'm like, no. It's amazing to see two people with so little charisma, like just trying to.
What are you talking about?
It's that Sydney Sweeney movie that we saw on the plane. I was watching over that guy's shoulder.
Oh.
Just so horrible. And it was just like blatant. Like there were those scenes where it was like, look at how uninspired this movie is shot. Like it was like
I'm just doing my thing.
It was like it was made by like it was like an AI made it. You know, it was like, okay, here's a scene where two pretty people, according to Hollywood standards, talk to each other or talk at each other because they're not actually listening to what the other one's saying. So let's see. Over the shoulder shot, man. Over the shoulder shot, girl. Over the shoulder shot, man. Over the shoulder shot, girl. Over the shoulder shot, man. Over the shoulder shot, girl. Wide, 2 shot. Wide, full body shot. Back to over the shoulder. I'm like, oh my God. Like you could like set it to music. It's so horrible. And that's just the technical problems. You know, not even just the fact that like it was like Sports Night, a show that was like billed as a comedy that had absolutely no jokes in it. It was like a social experiment. Whereas like anyone and anyone but you is like, here's a rom-com about people who are going to have sex with each other. And I'm like, wow, are they both like sex workers where they like paid each other to have sex with each other? Because there's no like genuine chemistry between these two people. What's up?
I wanted to know what the name was for the person before.
Oh, yeah. Revolutionary Dragon. Hey, ComicPop, did you hear Tom Brevoort saying that he wants? I didn't hear anything he said. That he wants new #1 X-Men books every month. That's not going to happen. In my opinion, that's too much, especially with the books they are launching with. Yeah, they're not. That's not going to happen. Or if it does happen, it's going to happen very poorly. Good luck with that.
Oh, that Doctor Strange.
Oh God, yes. The guy who played. I know that actor. I've seen him. John Vernon has been in a ton of stuff, and I know him from something specifically. And yeah, I don't like him as Doctor Strange.
Spider-Man is amazing.
No, he played him in Spider-Man the Animated Series.
That's at AMS. I was like SMAS.
Thank you. Spider-Man the Animated Series.
We
you've seen him a million times because we watched that show together. Yeah.
That's fair. You know what it is? For some people, it's just whatever you hear first. I definitely heard other voices for Doctor Strange before I landed on a combination of Dr. Strand from Black Days podcast and Dr. Orpheus. But
right.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there.
Stupid autocorrect. I meant to say I always hear Doctor Strange with the voice John Vernon gave him in the Spider-Man series. Thank you very much.
I got it. I got there.
We figured it out.
Thank you so much for your second super chat.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Thorn Identity. Full disclosure, I watch you guys because you're our universe is Peter and MJ doing a comics podcast. Prove me wrong. I would rather not. So thank you, man. But thank you for your kindness and for that very, very high praise.
That is very high praise. I appreciate that.
But before we get to them, Batman Dark Age #2 came out from Mike Allred and Laura Allred, and Mark Russell wrote it with art by Mike and Laura Allred. This is that, like, I guess it's a Black Label book or something. It's basically an Elseworlds book.
Mm-hmm.
The concept being, it's like it's like 2030. Bruce Wayne is old. Then we go back. Like Bruce Wayne was arrested during the 60s for being an impudent kid who's like going to get assassinated by his own board. And in this book, like, we get a lot more DC deep cuts. Like General Sam Lane basically strong arms Bruce into joining the army, so Bruce gets sent to Vietnam. And then while he's in Vietnam, the U.S. government like takes like a group of potential soldiers that have some sets of skills and puts them under a specialist they hired named Ra's al Ghul, who brings them behind enemy lines and trains them and teaches Bruce all the skills he needs, along with like Oliver Queen and other characters from the DC universe. And eventually, because Bruce won't kill a man for interrogating, after interrogation, Ra's stabs his honorable discharge papers into the body of the man that Bruce wouldn't kill when Bruce woke up the next morning. And so Bruce leaves. Of course, if Bruce returns home, he'll be assassinated because he was the board still wants to kill him because he'll take over the board in his 18th birthday, which he already had.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's a ridiculous book, but it's so cool and so fun and so interesting, and just neat to see this, like, how things build to their like points.
Yeah.
Lucius Fox, there's a great moment where Bruce gets sent off to Vietnam. There's nothing they can do about it. Lucius Fox wants to know who to trust in the Gotham City Police Department. So he goes to Gordon and he's like, so Bruce Wayne was sent to Vietnam. He's like, yeah, along with half the other kids. Like, what do you want? And he's like, well, listen, like, there's some people on the board who would rather Bruce Wayne didn't come back. So if you wouldn't, and he's like, get the hell out of my office. And Lucius is like, I got the answer I wanted. Like, now I know Gordon is not corruptible.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's fun. And so like Wayne Enterprises is strong armed into like abandoning Gotham, the city of tomorrow, and all of its like technological and like social improvement technologies, and instead make like weapons of war for the like Gotham City Police Department. And there's like a fire suit they made that looks like Batman's costume, and that's where Batman gets the suit. There's like all this fun stuff. It was just like, this is a really neat book, and it's a really fun concept. And while Bruce and company are in Vietnam, Superman emerges. We hear about it over the radio. Like, there's a Superman, so they expect every day, they're like, well, Superman will show up here and save us.
Yeah.
And he doesn't, because like Superman doesn't do that. But he's like, the radio announced like, Superman's here, like the Superman exists and he's American. And I'm like, nah, I remember that line from Watchmen as well. But yeah, they're like, why isn't he coming?
Right. Yeah.
Like, I thought I saw him, but it was just a bird.
It was a plane.
That they did that too. And it's just like, it's really cute. I'm like, this is really cool. This goes from being like quirky and weird to being kind of like brilliant. And so yeah, it's worth buying. Check it out.
Yeah.
And then there's Ultimate Spider-Man #4 from Jonathan Hickman, this time with art by David Messina.
Yeah, it was different.
It was different. it evoked a similar aesthetic. It went with like the Chichetto designs,
Yeah.
but was very much a Messina looking book.
Okay.
So this whole book is basically a conversation. Pete and Mary Jane go out to dinner with his new best friend Harry Osborn,
Yep.
who of course is also the Green Goblin and knows that Peter is Spider-Man. Because of course, the Oscorp essentially absorbed Stark Industries after everything fell apart, so that's how he got the suit and how he knows the technology that made Peter's mask come off. So that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, that squares that circle. But I only asked in one last issue, and so that's great. And of course, there's a reveal. I remember them releasing like a preview for this, and I knew before they didn't even release the last page, but I knew Harry Osborn's wife is Gwen Stacy.
Yeah, obviously I didn't know there was going to be that, but like I appreciate the fact that they weren't like holding it out for the entire issue. They're like, it was like 2 panels. They're like, I'm like, oh, I know who it is.
Yeah,
without even guessing. I'm
exactly.
Like,
no, it's Gwen.
Yeah.
So Harry and Gwen and Pete and Mary Jane are at a very fancy restaurant, and we've revealed like basically what Mary Jane's job is. She's like a brand manager. We found out that
she's like Keely.
Yeah, exactly. And so she and we've also through their conversation reveal what the newspaper or news outlet Ben and Jonah are working on. It's called The Paper.
Yes.
And I love
she came up with
came up with that for them. And I love that's Mary Jane came up with that.
Yes.
I love that Jonah makes a comment like, I'm just really glad we didn't pull the vowels out of it, called like the purpur or something like that. And I'm like, nice distillery joke. Or just a good joke about like modern technology and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's good stuff. So, great conversations, really great character work. We understand the character. Okay. This isn't necessarily a criticism. It's more of an observation. Peter doesn't have a personality or a character in the series. Like Peter is there. He is not an active participant. Like he is a passive protagonist. He appears and he is sleepwalking through the series. He gets this is a character. He is a Arrested Development millennial in the form where he is waiting for permission to live his life.
I guess
that's my observation.
That's your
Peter.
observation. I would say I don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think it's more we're seeing a person who like literally his fate was changed.
Yeah.
And it's like he's in a holding pattern because he doesn't like it's like part of him knows he should be doing something, but without until recently having the ability to do
right.
that.
But
so it's like he doesn't know what to do. And so he's trying to reacclimate.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? It's almost as like, because I think about it from the idea that Hickman's like telling a story, right? And obviously, like, it's like the story matters within the universe, right? So it's like, no, these are the things that were meant to happen. And because they didn't, things are messed up.
Right.
Things don't feel right. And so this is a Peter Parker who's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I never had a conversation with my uncle about like what I meant to be doing. And like my uncle's still alive and like I have a family.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
so
and because
but I feel like I should be doing something. So it's not that he's waiting for permission. He's waiting for the universe to align to allow him to do so. And now that it has, he's like, what am I supposed to like? How am I supposed to actually make this happen? Now I have a family.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. But like he is doing all the things that like people do because you're supposed to. Like he is a rule follower. You know what I mean? He does what, like, he follows the American dream, or he follows what he was told was the things he wanted to have or what he was. Yeah, he's achieving or pursuing what he was told he needed to achieve and pursue. Like he still won't even like work with his uncle and Jonah.
Well, I think that's because he does bring in obviously
he brings in a salary, but it's certainly not what. Well, Mary Jane also mentioned she doesn't have any money either.
Right. So I think that like he can't leave that job because his uncles can't pay him yet. The idea is that like they don't have the money to do that. So
right.
I don't see it as him being like, I'm too afraid to do that. He's like, I have 2 kids.
Oh, I know.
They have to eat.
Yeah.
And I live in New York.
Oh yeah. No, there's
in an apartment that clearly has more than one room.
Right. But like everyone in this whole book, in this issue in particular, is telling him that he needs to like grow a pair. Like everyone is telling him to act.
Right.
Everyone throughout all 4 issues, everyone's like, please do something. And he keeps going like, I have to do this, that, and the other. It's like the book is screaming at you that he needs to do something.
Right. Because it's like the universe is doing that.
Right.
Again, I feel like it's this universe trying to right itself.
That's
but
cool.
Like he can't be forced into it.
Well, he is forced to do it only because he's like, he the only thing he chose to do was let the spider bite him.
Right. But it feels like he has to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's interesting.
I might be meta reading.
It's a complicated series, is the thing.
No, it is.
And it's a really stressful one, too, because I was really holding out hope that he did tell Mary Jane off panel and we're going to have some reveal. But like, and I think that's still there. I think it's still on the table. Like, I know Mary Jane, I don't think acts one way or another towards the idea that Peter is or isn't Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think that the reveal, and I think Peter is like just being careful with who he trusts.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like, because there's a conversation he has with Harry where Harry's like, Harry's like, I told Gwen that I'm Green Goblin like day one. Like, you need to tell Mary Jane. You didn't tell her. But like, Peter's letting Harry do all the talking. And that's what really smart people do.
Yeah.
Especially in these kind of conversations where someone has like an advantage over you, whether it's financial or social or whatever. It's just let them talk. Let them tell you everything.
Right.
And Peter's just like letting him answer his own questions. Like, he's just like, yo, you didn't tell Mary Jane. And he's like, okay. That's what you said.
Yeah.
But I would love for it to be like, no, I told Mary Jane day one. And I'm just, we're just not talking actively about me being Spider-Man. But Gwen is much more active and she's much more proactive. And she's like, we need to like change everything. Like, we gotta fight back and we gotta do this thing. Like, you feel this like this difference. And here's the difference between like Harry and Gwen versus Mary Jane and Peter. If Peter did tell Mary Jane off the screen.
Right.
I think Gwen pushed Harry to be Green Goblin.
She might have.
Whereas I think where Mary Jane let Peter choose to be Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah, no, they have a different relationship. And it's funny that you mentioned that how active she is, because I noticed that as well. And again, like, I am meta reading to something I don't know if is true.
Right.
So like, let's put that out there. I have zero. This is zero. Tiny amount, like nothing. No evidence to support my feelings towards this, right? But it's interesting that you mentioned, because I did notice that like Gwen is like, she's a go-getter. She's like running a Fortune 500 essentially. Like, she's running the company.
She's very aggressive.
She's in charge. She's going, yes. Right? And again, if we go with the like, the universe needs to write itself, it's like she knows she's a finite.
She knows she needs to die.
You know what I mean? Like,
she's trying to live as much life as she
be
can
here.
Right. Yeah. Like, well, you're supposed to be dead. You shouldn't be here by now. Like, at this point in your life, you should definitely be still. You should be dead longer than you were alive. I don't think
that's real. Like, now that I think about it, it's probably not what it is. It probably is just that it's like, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to see her in this role, to see her in this relationship?
Yeah, like this is what Gwen would be if the world.
Peter never met her.
Yeah, if Peter never met her, which is also like, people are, because of the lack of spider bite, because of the changes, like, people are not what they should be. Jonah isn't an antagonist, but Richard doesn't. Is it Richard or is it May that doesn't like Jonah? I think it's May. May doesn't like Jonah, and it's like in that meta read, it's like, because Jonah's a villain, like, because Jonah doesn't like Spider-Man,
right.
But like, because the universe didn't give Jonah a reason to hate Peter or to hate Spider-Man, he doesn't, and he's there. The universe didn't give Ben a reason to tell Peter with great power comes great responsibility, so he didn't.
Yes.
Which is also, I think, why Peter is in Arrested Development, because like, Ben didn't get out of his way, so Peter couldn't grow up prematurely. And B, Ben didn't die.
Yeah.
And give Peter like a purpose.
Yeah. This is like a more well-adjusted human being, but he's not.
But he's not. He's actually
taken away from him.
Exactly. It's the approach of like, Peter is a neurotic, self-absorbed, like if you look at Peter Parker objectively, Peter is super neurotic in every version of himself. And it's just a difference. Like, one was taking care of his octogenarian aunt at the age of 15.
Yeah.
And his uncle gave him a really irresponsible life lesson.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, like, one that, was childishly simplistic and Peter misunderstood. Because as far as Peter's concerned, with great power, as far as Peter's concerned, great power, great responsibility means I have the power and I have a responsibility to everyone.
Yep.
Whereas I'm sure Ben would not feel that way.
Yeah.
If he were to talk to Peter, posthumously.
Yeah.
This is a Peter who has the same like mental illness essentially, but he does it. But he was able to grow,
right,
and live. He just feels like he's not accomplishing what he should be. Yeah, it's a fascinating thing. Giving Harry the line,
yes,
is a choice. It is very Hickman. because of course, like, Harry is intelligent and rich and powerful, and so obviously he's the smartest person in the universe, just like
Yeah.
everybody that Hickman creates. But like, I don't like it, and but I don't think you're meant to. I know a lot of
No.
people like are really excited, and I'm like, again, you're putting baggage on characters that Hickman is not putting on them. Hickman is banking on you doing that.
Yeah, he's banking on you reading this because it's like you assume Harry's going to be a villain because he has been a villain, right?
Right.
And it's like, and if I am right that like things are trying to write themselves,
He will be.
he could end up being that, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, to me, this read, especially with the art, because the art really supports this, regardless of how you feel about the change from Chichetto. Those two panels, they're super horizontal, and like, there's been like lights in the background because they're at a restaurant, but in this, it's like this horizontal streak, and it's like it strikes Peter, and
Yes.
it's either like
that's the words he was been waiting for his entire life to hear
this, or he's just like, this is wrong. You're not the one who's meant to tell me. Like, I think it's just he's like, this is the time I'm meant to hear this, or
Yes.
I need to hear this. I now have that.
Yeah, he's been waiting to hear these words his entire life, and now that he does, maybe it finally comes into focus.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
But like, that's not the last thing. It's also like, it's only gives if you use it.
Right, yeah.
Right.
But
like,
but he gets it.
It's just his version of it.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic, phenomenal issue that has no superheroics and no high flying anything. It's just characters interact with each other, which is also what I live for in these superhero
but
comics.
like, reading this, having read, because you gave me a bunch of Straczynski's run to read. Like, this made me feel like I was still reading Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Just because of the exposure I've had to his stories. Where it's like a big part, you've mentioned this before, I'm not saying anything that you haven't said before, but a big part of who Spider-Man isn't just being Spider-Man. It's the
it's the Peter story.
It's the Peter story. Like, Peter is as much the main character and hero as Spider-Man is.
Yes.
You know, Peter like managing his life and like messing up, or Peter like getting a win occasionally.
It's almost more satisfying than watching Spider-Man punch somebody.
Yeah.
It always is. For me, it's always more satisfying to see Peter succeed than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The art feels okay, so I'm not a fan.
I could tell you weren't.
Like, I think it's not
the same.
It's not the same, but it's trying to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it does a fine-ish job, you know?
There are a couple of moments where I'm like, oof.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is fine. It will feel more oofy when it's all collected. You'll wonder, why does it look like that? Like, why does one issue look like a not as good version of what I'm normally seeing?
It's just
because Chichetto needs the time. You need a minute to catch up.
And that's fine. It'll look great the next time we see it, I'm sure.
Exactly. But I like it enough because I like what's being read. I would never read a series that looks like this.
I'd be okay with it. It has like a kind of more indie vibe, so
Yeah,
like, I have no problem with that.
There's a couple of moments that don't work for me, but
Sure,
I also wonder what the superhero stuff looks like.
Oh, sure.
You know, like
sure.
This is, you know, I'm sure that Messina didn't, when he was told you're writing the 4th issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, he was like, so cool. What is it? Talking heads, nonstop talking. It's just talking heads. You're gonna draw a bathroom. You're gonna draw like an office,
food.
You're gonna draw hands, a lot of hands. You know, like, thanks.
I know we didn't talk about it. And I know like we're kind of coming to the end of it, but there's like a sequence here, or like a scene, and I just like, I feel like it was really, really important, and it's just. Obviously, Ben is on babysitting duty. Like, you know, Peter and Mary Jane they're having an adult evening. They're going out. Like, they feel awkward about that to begin with. I love that for them.
Yep.
But Ben is at home. Jonah has come over, crashed the party. That's why May's like, could you go?
Yep.
But like, Ben has a moment
with Rich,
and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Like, I love this like conversation between the two of them, because it's like, you know, it's funny where we're coming in. We're entering this universe. You know, we have an Uncle Ben who got to be around for Peter being raised, and we don't get to see any of it.
Nope.
But we do in a way, because we get to see how he reacts to Rich, even though like they do a lot of times, like your interactions with your grandparents are different than like with like maybe your parents.
Yes.
But Ben's in a different like boat in a way, because he is his father, but he's technically his uncle, so it's already kind of different. But I like that we get to see that echo of what it must have been like for Peter to have Uncle Ben be there for him and to help raise him, right? And like, I really, really love their conversation about reading, you know, and like, you know, what it means to him. And like, I just love that, like, he's like, oh, you got another hour of,
you
like,
want to watch some TV?
and he's just like, no, he's good man.
Yeah, good for you.
And I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, me too.
I love it. And I think May doesn't like Jonah because Jonah's a big personality. Other than the meta read,
Right.
I do like that meta read, but I do think it's the fact that she's a big personality too.
Well, I think she's just like, he smokes and he's
loud and I'm loud.
He's loud. Yeah, that's true. Maybe she doesn't like to fight for attention,
Yeah,
but I think like she's also like he said, like, he talks mean. You know, he's always he's not a good influence on children. You know, he's just
he's not my Uncle Ben.
Yeah, he's an unpleasant person. And it's like, yeah, he is an unpleasant person. But like, you want his respect and attention because he's Jonah.
Yeah.
Because he knows something, or he knows a thing or two.
Yeah.
So it's great. And it's still good. You know, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's jump into it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What was
but yeah,
it?
to sum up, I loved this issue. The art didn't bother me as much. But I do agree that when you see it in trade, it'll probably be like, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, that's an
but like, luckily, the fact that it is like so
similar,
and also this issue is so like kind of like a bottle issue in a sense.
Yeah,
it'll feel okay.
Yeah, it'll be like that weird issue from the Tom King, Daniel Sampere run of Wonder Woman, where it's like, oh, and here's a completely different issue.
And now this does further the plot, but like because of the fact that like Spider-Man's not actually in it.
There's no
like,
Spider-Man, there's no Goblin, there's no fighting,
yeah,
there's no Kingpin.
I think it's a good decision if they had to do it.
I agree.
So I did like this one a lot. There hasn't really been a miss for me for this series.
No, I agree. Matt Fisher, John Vernon played Rupert Thorne in Batman the Animated Series. That's exactly where I know him from. Thank you. Frank Haysal, I saw that interview with Garth Ennis. Great job. Also made find his Thor comic and loved it. Any chance we'll see it on back issues? That'd be fun. Yeah. We did Thor Vikings on The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And then I read the whole series and I was like, what the hell? I got to go find the rest of it. I don't know if I have it in digital or if I have it in singles, but I'll have to go find it. Okay. I'll go look today. Doc says, do I need to read all of Ultimate Spider-Man before getting into the most recent run? Also, would Ultimate Spider-Man be a good introduction? Don't read any of Ultimate Spider-Man to prepare for this series. If you are looking for an uninterrupted like run of Peter Parker Spider-Man, the one you know very well, then you can read Bendis and Bagley's Ultimate Spider-Man through all the way up to Ultimate Comic Spider-Man and then Ultimate Spider-Man again. But that's a completely different universe. It's a completely different numerical designation, different Peter. This Peter in Ultimate Spider-Man from Bendis was like 15 or younger. I think he was 14. So you're watching like a young teenager in the year 2000, whereas this is a 35-year-old man in the year 2024. So completely different universe. So really, if you want to get acclimated to Ultimate Spider-Man, this series, just read 1 through 4 and maybe one of the Ultimate, not Ultimate Invasion, but Ultimate Avengers, something like that. I don't know what it's called. But you don't really need to read anything other than this to understand it. The info pages will explain the context, which if you're a Spider-Man fan, you won't even need because you're like, who cares? The maker, get out of here.
Yeah.
So there you go. And Matt Fisher also says, can we just please call them Pa Ben and Grandma May already?
I think this would be Grandpa Ben.
Oh, Grandpa Ben and Grandma May.
They're more grandparents than anything else.
They're more grandparents than anything else. It's true.
Yeah.
I know. Well, they're uncles and aunts. I don't know. But anyway. So yeah,
What's your book of the week?
My book of the week. That's a great question. Good call. We also didn't even tease that. Oh man, I think it's got to be Ultimate Spider-Man. I think Ultimate Spider-Man was oh yeah, but Dark Age was really close.
Yeah.
Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm thrilled that we got more Mary Jane, Gwen conversation, adult themes. We got to have a conversation about stuff like grown-ups. It was great.
I agree.
So yeah, how about you?
I want to say it's that, but I have 2 Gillen books. So I'm going with Gods, number 7. That was great. It was just a fantastic issue. So yeah.
Let's jump into it. So there's when we recommend books that are coming out this week, some of them will be free comic book days, some of them won't. I'm gonna try and pull up a list of like free comic book day issues that are out.
Sure.
But we're getting Nightwing 2024 annual number 1.
Nice.
More Nightwing. This will not be written by Tom Taylor, though. It is by Travis Moore. So if you are looking for you're looking for Tom Taylor, you're not going to get it in this. So I might check it out. We'll see. And then there's just so much more. There's so many things. But before we get to Free Comic Book Day, Blood Hunt number 1 from Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraz is coming out. And if you got your Bloodlust, you can get the Blood Hunt Red Band edition for $1 more. That's right. It's got a big old ugly red block over it that says "Mom and Dad, watch out." That covers up all the art on the cover. But if you want both issues, you can spend
I still see
what,
Doctor
15
Strange
issues
on there. I'm fine.
So you're good. But yeah, Blood Hunt, the Red Band edition.
I love that you're like promoting this. I'm like, I read way more McKay than you, and you're like, I'm definitely reading Blood Hunt. I'm like,
this is definitely a book for Tiffany, but like, but it's an event, so I'm like, I'm always down to see what the hell they're doing.
okay.
Deadpool and Wolverine World War III #1 is coming out from Joe Kelly
Ooh.
and Adam Kubert.
Wow.
I saw this like promoted on Twitter or something, and man, I'm so on board. What a good idea. Deadpool and Wolverine. What an interesting title. Inspired. Great idea. Superman House of Brainiac special #1 from Josh and Edwin Galman. This, of course, is like the secret history of Lobo and more fun, like extra information about like House of Brainiac and building up for that. It'll be an essential read for this series, so or for this event. So check that out as well.
Okay.
Space Ghost #1 from David Pepose and Jonathan Lau is coming out. I talked to David Pepose about this series. If you haven't checked that out, you can before the issue comes out. But yeah, new Space Ghost. We'll see how that goes. Minor Threats, The Fastest Way Down #2 from Patton Oswalt, Jordan Bloom, and Scott Hepburn. This is a great series. It's very different, but very familiar. So if you're interested in independent superhero comics, you might enjoy this book. And those are the mainstream books that I can recommend to you before we get into Free Comic Book Day things, which are coming out, of course, on Saturday, this Saturday. So definitely keep that on your, on your list.
I'm gonna be grabbing next week, or this week is coming out, Avengers of the Moon Knight #5, which is a Blood Hunt tie-in. So FYI, everybody, if you're looking for more Moon Knight stuff, I don't know how this is gonna work in there, but it is McKay, so it might.
And it is in his event, so it might
it might just be like you might want to read it for Blood Hunt, but B, for Vengeance of the Moon Knight fans, it might still work out. He's already been working vampires into this, obviously. So let's see how the pacing goes for this one.
Yeah.
Right? X-Men #34, written by Jerry Duggan with art by Josh Cassara. You know, I'm here for this.
Yeah.
The end is nigh. That's what they're calling it.
That cover is really evoking.
It's like really stressing me out when they decide to use words like that, because I know it's coming to an end. I don't need to be constantly reminded that it's coming to an end.
Yeah, I saw somebody complaining. They were like, it's been ending for like a year. What the hell?
I'm like, could we all just stop with the constant reminding? Speaking, by the way, of Cable, those who are reading that, Cable #4 is coming out, also part of the Fall of the House of X line. So just FYI to those who care about that. I don't know what this is, but I'm immediately attracted to the cover.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, who doesn't love bears?
I freaking bears, man. Bears. Other than that, I'm definitely going to be picking up the Flash Annual. I can't believe it's already coming out. Written by Cy Spurrier. Different artists on this one. We've got a few artists.
Bunch of artists. Holy crap.
Yeah, like a bunch of artists. Scott Koblish, Tom Derenick, George Kambadias, Amand K. Nahulpan. I apologize.
Good try.
I tried. I did what I could. I'm trying my best over here. Yeah, but it's an annual, so it's like 48 pages. So
cool.
We'll see how they break that up. But they're saying that the rest is continuing. I appreciate that they did that, because some people might pass up an annual thinking it's.
Yeah, and it's like, no, this is part of the series.
Right.
I love the title of this freaking book. What the hell?
Bear Pirate Viking Queen. I don't know what this is. I just had to click on. I had to click on this.
I know.
Maybe
right?
I've got to check this out.
Bear Pirate Viking Queen.
Look at that. I don't know what's happening.
I have no idea.
Bears, Pirates,
rendered
Vikings.
in stunning watercolor by artist Jonathan Marks Baravecchia. Well, all right.
72 pages for $5.
Can you believe, by the way, did I tell you this? I got a commission. You know about the commission I'm getting?
I do.
It's going to be in watercolor.
Ooh, that's fun. Yeah. So anyway, now on to Free Comic Book Day.
On to Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day, obviously, there's a Blood Hunt X-Men, like Blood Hunt / X-Men.
Yeah, that's why
Free Comic Book Day.
Mr. Fantastic and Spider-Man and Daredevil on there.
I'm sure it's Blood Hunt on one end and X-Men on the other. Like you flip it over and there's more.
Yeah, I think it's X-Men from the Ashes, but I just
yeah.
I love that it's next to them. I'm like,
Jed McKay, Sarah Kelly, dope. I'm in. Sweet. I'll check that out if I can get a copy. Free Comic Book Day Ultimate Universe / Spider-Man. So you're getting like the Ultimate Universe. I don't know if it's Ultimate Spider-Man or not. It is from Dennis Camp and Juan Frigeri. So check that out if you are of a mind. Also, the Absolute Power Special Edition #1 from Free Comic Book Day. Mark Waid, Mikkel Yannon. Dan Moore is doing the rest of the series, but Mikkel Yannon doing some more of this. Sounds awesome to me. Free Comic Book Day Energon Universe 2024 special. This will be a good one for me to try because I'll be like, all right, how are you tying all this in? Because I like kind of stopped reading a lot of these. Robert Kirkman, Lorenzo Di Felici. Check it out. Those are a couple of them, but there's so many more.
Oh yeah, for sure. I didn't even I looked on this thing, which didn't show me covers, but like I'm on the Free Comic Book Day website. They say that supposedly Boom's going to be putting out a Free Comic Book Day, The Worlds of James Tynion IV.
Yes, I saw that on the thing.
I feel
yeah,
like I gotta get that.
Right?
I feel like I gotta check that out. For people who love Hellboy, there will be one from Dark Horse. It'll be a Hellboy Stranger Things bundle. Let's see. Oh, there's also IDW putting out Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles bundles.
Yes.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle thing. There we go.
That's awesome.
So you can grab that if you are able to get a hold of it before everyone snatches it up.
Yes. Oh my God, that's right. It's got the Night Watcher on it. The dude from the Night Watcher, who was the alter ego that Raphael used in that CG movie. Juniba and Ferro Peniche is doing that one. Yeah.
Additionally, if you are someone who has like kids, there's all sorts of things that'll be out there for little ones as well. Just pay attention to it. I mean, you can get like Snoopy and like stuff like that, Pokemon. But DC, it looks like they have a middle grade one. Possibly, if your comic book store has that, you can ask and see if they have it. There's also a young adult one. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, there's also a Free Comic Book Day Marvel Voices #1 issue coming out. That'll be a new talent, new characters, that kind of thing.
There'll also be a Star Wars one.
Oh,
so
yeah.
If you're a Star Wars fan, you like the comics as well. You
Star
can
Wars / Darth Vader. So there'll be a Vader focus and a Star Wars general focus.
It's good to ask, by the way, if you go and you do have like little ones, like ask them if they a lot of
which ones are for kids.
Yeah, I always try to leave those for those. Like, I'm like, come on. There should be some video game tie and stuff. Like, there's a Far Cry thing. There's Street Fighter versus Final Fight. Looks like there's gonna be a One Piece from Viz as well.
Yep. There's a Conan one. There's a Mad Magazine edition. There's a Spidey and his Amazing Friends version. There's a Johnny Quest book. Young Jedi, that's for kids. Even Valiant's getting in on the action with the Valiant's #1. A little introduction of the new.
There's the Barda thing. I wanted to check that out.
Barda.
Yeah.
Oh.
It looks like it's one of their like special things.
Yeah.
But it's Barda, so I'll check it out. Whatever.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Additionally, there's like a Spidey and Amazing Friends, again, kind of aimed more towards a younger audience. Essentially what it is, go check out the Free Comic Book Day website. We don't work for them, but go check it out to see what is available so you can at least make a list. If you want, maybe you could call ahead and ask, what they'll have. Because a lot of times what'll happen is like for some of the bigger ones, like the big DC ones, the big Marvel ones, they're going to order a lot of those. But some of the smaller ones, they may not order as many.
That's
so you might
true.
want to know if you should get there a little earlier or not. Sometimes some stores will have a limit on how many you can pick up, but it's worth it to try out some new things. Like, there's definitely some things where it's like, like Sal and I will get one copy of like a Blood Hunt if we can get it, right? But it's like,
but we don't want to we want to leave the rest for
But there's also like an opportunity for us to maybe try something new.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
So we could do that too.
Yeah, but if you're ever wondering, by the way, there's actually a handy dandy guide for which what books are actually for what audiences. If you notice at the top. The blue Free Comic Book Day, which is the standard covers, like the standard logo.
Yep.
That's for general audiences. That's for everybody, but it might be for some older audiences. But if you want older audiences stuff, then you can look at the red band Free Comic Book Day logo. But if you want for kids, you get the green band Free Comic Book Day.
That's so great.
You're color coding. So if green means go for your kids.
For everybody. I like that. That's great. It's a really great, easy to look at sort of. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So we want to thank you all so much for hanging out with us. Thank you to our super chatters for sponsoring today's show, and thank you to the chat for being cool and complimentary and kind to each other.
Nice.
I believe we still have one more. Adam Thenhouse says, great to run into you at C2E2. Good to see you too, man. Thank you very much for saying hi. I first went to meet the big names like Bendis and Hickman, but now mostly to go for Artist Alley. So many hidden gems. Looking forward to the stream on Friday. We also, thank you very much. Yes, this Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Josh and I are going live. Big epic live stream, so definitely check that out. Girk Peck says, I am sorry to say Tiffany's favorite character, Pariah, is not in the animated Crisis on Infinite Earth movies so far. We need more Pariah.
Nah, we good.
Well, that's
We're-
okay, because in
we're-
Batman Dark
yeah.
Ages, Pariah is actually the chairman of the board of Wayne Enterprises, and he's definitely like aware of the future and stuff. So yeah. And he's going to team up with the Red Ghost. I guess Red Pariah would be his amalgam character, or the Green. Oh no, the Green Ghost, because Pariah's like get a green cloak. I don't know.
You guys are mean.
Anyway, we want to thank you so much for being here. And definitely, if you want more, check out Tiffany's streams on twitch.tv/ComicPop or youtube.com @ComicPop Plays. Oh my God. They're playing Content Warning, which is hell for my monetization on YouTube. But
I'm gonna have to call it something else.
well, that's just, I just don't put the name.
Yeah.
It's in the thumbnail. But it's a fun, ridiculous, similar to Lethal Company in terms of it being like, nearby proximity microphones, spooky atmosphere, but cute concept. It's just a couple of top dwellers who go down to like the old world and film ghosts and then see if they can go viral on SpookTube.
Yeah.
A place where you upload spooky videos.
It's pretty brilliant. You film, you have X amount of time to do so. You make a video, you make a DVD, and then you upload it to your TV. But then like comments show up, and I'm like, they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're
I'll bet they're amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the funniest things I've seen in a couple of years happened in one of them. So definitely check out that video. I did timestamp it at the bottom of the video that was on YouTube. So check that out as well.
Yay.
It's just really fun. But yeah, so check out her streams. Check out our stream on Friday. That's right, Friday. This Friday. Josh, me, and who knows who else. It'll be like a little mini Comic-Con. So definitely check out that
I
show.
love it.
And that's it. I want to thank you so much for being here. And we'll see you guys next time with an all new episode here on ComicPop Returns. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks all for watching. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.